across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good afternoon and welcome to Drive Time right here on Talk. I'm your host, Kevin O'Sullivan, and I'll be with you all the way until 7 o'clock. Stand by for 3 thrilling hours of news, views and topical debate. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000. That's 0344 499 1000. Or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number. And I promise to play your message out. It is Tuesday, February the 24th. Here's what's coming up. Reform UK vows to ban the burka. Is Farage right? Is it time to follow many other countries by outlawing this medieval symbol of female face-covering subservience that also poses serious security problems? 0344 499 1000. In other news, pressure grows on Starmer after Kemi Badenoch called the arrest of Labour grandee Peter Mandelson the defining moment of the Prime Minister's checkered career. Why did two-tier Keir and former premiers Gordon Brown and Tony Blair allow obvious wrong'un Mandelson to hold the highest offices of state and steer the Labour machine for more than 4 decades? This is a serious scandal, folks. Don't this dubious trio all have major questions to answer about their appalling judgment? All 3 of them, Blair, Brown and Starmer. What were they thinking about Mandelson? He's an obvious wrong'un, never far from scandal, and yet they turned him into, arguably, one of the most important men in this country, a power broker, right at the top of the Westminster tree. Outrageous. 0344 499 1000. Also today, a grieving mother slams the officials who refused to lock up Nottingham triple killer Valdo Colacone in case they were accused of racism, that old thing. The former Prince Andrew's massage sessions charged to long-suffering taxpayers. The ludicrous so-called convention that prevents MPs discussing our decidedly dodgy royal family. A furious BAFTA judge sensationally quits over the Tourette's N-word fiasco that the bumbling BBC broadcast to millions of shocked viewers. Scheming ISIS bride Shamima Begum plots her illegal return to Britain. The Catholic priest who quit because he desperately wanted sex, and the terrifying real-life dragon that once ruled the earth. All that and so much more. So don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Tuesday afternoon together, and for the first 20 minutes or so to go through the biggest stories of the day. A warm welcome to Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kisley. Welcome, Philip.
Hi, Kev. It's great to see you again.
Always a pleasure. Now, first of all, Zia Yousaf, actually not so long ago, when Sarah Pochin, the eminent Reform UK MP, said that she thinks the burqa should be banned, Zia Yousaf slapped her down, said that's not policy. Didn't seem very keen on it at all. Zia Yousaf, of course, a Muslim, but is now right behind it, saying that Reform UK will ban the burqa. Is Nigel Farage's party right? Are they on the money here? Is it time to ban this medieval symbol of female subservience that, as I said in my monologue, also poses serious security problems? If you can't see a face, you don't know who you're dealing with. Is it time for us to follow many countries, including several Muslim countries, by banning the burqa?
Oh, I think it is. I think it's high time. I think we should have done this a long time ago. And I think this is the kind of U-turn that I can really get behind. All this. Yeah. Reform U-turn good, Labour U-turn bad. No, I think, times have times have moved on. I think he's absolutely right to say this. It isn't just security, although that is a big thing. It's also about culture as well. So if we've got women wearing burqas and fully burqa'd up teaching in primary schools, for example, I think that's a real problem for us, okay? I think it's a problem. Obviously, it's a problem when people are out in the streets and they are just, they cannot be identified. One of the real problems is when people are protesting and clearly breaking the law and the police do nothing. They cannot follow up then because people are either wearing burqas, and it's not just burqas, Kev, it's face masks as well. Yeah. So I think all of this stuff is a really good move because it's going to rein in this, people feel as though they can do absolutely anything, break the law, because they know, as I say, that the police won't intervene when it's a great big rally, when it's a great big hate march. They won't intervene because they can't control the situation. They can't intervene afterwards because they can't identify these people. So we have precisely the kinds of people we want to identify, just not, getting away with it and not being able to identify at all. So I think it's really, really good news. I think it comes on the back of other kinds of things as well. I mean, the people who really dislike reform and call them controlled opposition and say they're just lurching to the centre and all of that kind of thing, I actually disagree, okay? I think they're doing some really radical and important stuff. They're talking about, deporting illegals, a good number of them, 600,000 of them, in the first year. That's incredibly radical stuff as far as I'm concerned.
It shouldn't be really, though, should it? Well, what are they actually saying? And a lot of other allegedly modern civilized countries deport illegals because they're illegal. All that Reform are saying is the perfectly common sense suggestion, proposal, that people who are in this country illegally, whose presence is unlawful, cannot remain here, and as such will be taken out of this country, removed from this country. I don't see why it's controversial, and I certainly don't see why it's racist.
No, neither do I. I absolutely agree with you. I think it's excellent, but I didn't use the word controversial. I said it's quite radical in relation to what's gone before.
Yeah, I know what you mean. What I'm getting at is the absurdity of people saying this is radical, this is racist, this is shocking. They are just talking about enforcing the law. If you have no legal right to be here, you can't be here. What is so radical about that? So interesting. And I think, there are quite a few Muslim countries that ban the burqa. Tunisia, for example. Quite a few countries in Europe do. France, Austria, quite a few. I think it probably is time that we followed suit. Partly because of security reasons, and partly to say that this country does not sponsor, does not endorse the relegation of women to second-class status. This is a symbol of female subservience dating back to medieval ages, and I think we should make a stand for modernity in this country and say you can't wear them here.
Yeah, it's a symbol of two things. It's a symbol of fundamentalism and it's a symbol of radicalism. And we need much less of those two things in this country. So I'm delighted that this is happening. I think it's an absolutely key central thing. It's a central policy. And I think if we push back, if Reform chooses particular things, and it's choosing well at the moment, then the rest of this stuff will follow. Because if you ban face masks, lots of other things just fall into place as well.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of criticising or daring to question the burqa, daring to question some Islamic customs, of course, the fear that people have when they do this, including people like me, is if I start going on about ban the burqa and let's crack down on Muslims and all that, or Muslim extremism, anyway, people might accuse me, and a lot of people in officialdom worry about this, of Islamophobia, of racism. It is the scourge of this country. It's why we had the rape gang scandal, because too many teachers and policemen and social workers and local politicians were too scared to call out what was happening. That was that Muslim men of Pakistani origin were torturing, drugging and raping thousands and thousands of vulnerable young white girls. All the authorities too scared to mention it in case they were accused of Islamophobia or racism, and so the scourge continued. We got a similar case, or an uncannily similar kind of syndrome going on with Valdo Caliconi. We learned today, due to the inquiry going on, that Valdo Caliconi was that's the triple Nottingham killer, of course, was due to be sectioned and put into, into custody, into detained, because of his mental condition. This was shortly after a violent incident in 2020, but mental health professionals decided not to detain him because they felt that there was an over-representation of young black men in custody. So they didn't put this very dangerous man into custody. They didn't detain him in a mental health establishment because they feared it might look a bit racist. And we know where that led to, don't we? This is an utter disgrace.
It always leads in the same terrible terrible direction. Look, you can have one of two things. You can either have identity politics and political correctness, or you can have public safety. We've learned the hard way that you cannot have both of those things, because again, the people who enforce this stuff will just play fast and loose with public safety. Now, the people who were responsible for this need to face the full weight of the law. They really do, because this demonstrates in the most tragic way our broken society. The fact that we cannot have the most important conversations, that we live in a fantasy world of identity politics that has nothing to do with real life, and the danger that is on the streets now. This just makes us much more uptight. This makes us much more concerned. We look at people, and it might be we look at people of color and we say, what's going on there? Is that, should this person be here? Or and it's nothing to do with racism, actually. It's all to do with the framework of identity politics that makes people frightened, and rightly so. So again, I keep coming back to reform. I keep coming back to, potentially the next government here. It was really good that Zia Yusuf actually talked about banning the burqa. Okay, a Muslim talked about that. It's really good that Layla Cunningham's behind that. So what we need are
two Muslims there. Layla,
two Muslims.
Layla
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we need are people from minority communities, BAME communities, to come out and say that this political correctness is dangerous. It needs to stop. We need to become colorblind. That's what we worked for so many years to become in this country, and we were almost there, and then identity politics kicked in, and the train just went off the rails and smashed into the station.
Yeah, so here you go. These are the countries that have banned the burqa. Belgium, Austria, Denmark, Switzerland, Bulgaria, the Netherlands, Luxembourg and parts of Italy. In Africa, Cameroon, Chad, Republic of the Congo, Gabon, Senegal and Tunisia. Asia, China, Tajikistan, Sri Lanka, Uzbekistan, and so on and so forth. There are parts of Canada where they've done it as well. But I think it's very interesting that some Muslim countries have done it. So ask any moderate Muslim and they'll say, well, the burqa actually dates back, to medieval times. And in fact, the hideous one that we see that is a full face covering, very few people wear that these days, but of course it is the practice in Afghanistan. So why should we behave as a governed country like Afghanistan? So maybe we've got to move on that. And just to go back to Valdo Caliconi, this is tragically typical of this country, isn't it? Full of middle-class people letting people down because in their mind the welfare of children, the safety of people on the streets, the safety of women is not as important as whether or not somebody might think that they are racist or Islamophobic. Rather than that, they allowed the rape gangs to carry on raping. They allowed Valdo Calicone to carry on roaming the streets. And guess what? A couple of years later, he went on the rampage in Nottingham and killed 3 people and injured quite a few more, by the way. This horrific fact emerged on day 1 of the inquiry into the Nottingham killings, and already that is the kind of shocking revelation. Somehow or other, this nation has to shake itself out of this. Tell all these middle-class teachers and social workers and coppers, stop it. Stop it. Just do your job. Don't worry about whether or not people think you might be Islamophobic or you might be racist. Think about the children. Think about the women. Think about safety. Think about the safety of the public. We've got to get to this point. But time and time again, we hear the same reason, don't we?
Yeah, I think there are 3 terrible things that are responsible for this. One is cowardice, utter cowardice. The other one, which makes it all the more tragic, is stupidity. This is real stupidity. I can't think of anything more stupid than keeping your mouth shut because you don't want to come across as racist, and knowing that young girls are being abused by Pakistani men. And the final thing is virtue, this selfishness, this display of virtue. These are the 3 sicknesses that I think we've got in our society and that are just rife through our institutions. So again, it's removing all of this stuff that has just built up year after year after year, and over the last 30 years it's just got worse. And what we live in is a society of secrets and fear and silliness, and we just need to get rid of it. We need to be, it's actually a very simple solution. All we need to do is be honest. Now, that's not the easiest thing in the world to do, because when I was talking before, I was stuttering over slightly, if you see a person of color in the street, oh God, how does that sound? But what I'm trying to say is that it's the other stuff. It's the political correctness, it's the lies, it's the dishonesty that makes everything so difficult. We've just got to strip it away and try and be honest and try and act in everybody's best interest. It's in everybody's best interest to do it, Kev.
Yeah, and you alluded to the problem here, and hopefully something might emerge from this inquiry and other inquiries, the rape gang inquiry, if it ever happens. All these people who prioritised their virtue signalling desire not to be called Islamophobic or racist over the safety of the victims of the rape gangs, over the safety of the victims of Valdo Calicone. Bring them to justice. Tell them your decision is now going to get you sent to jail. If all these middle-class virtue signalers get that message, then they'll do their jobs properly. It's a disgrace, and I hope that the officials who decided not to incarcerate Valdo Calicone for their own purposes, so they weren't called racist, I hope they find them and they convict them, and they prosecute them. Same deal for all the coppers and the teachers and the social workers who turned a blind eye to the rape gang scandal for the same reason. Something's got to be done. Start punishing people. Then I think this syndrome might begin to die out, and it won't be before time. Philip, great to talk to you as always. Excellent. Philip Kisley there, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. Ban the burqa, should we? 0344 499 1000. Let's go to break. When we come back, we'll talk to Trevor Kavanagh, the Sun columnist, former political editor at that great newspaper. We need to talk about Mandelson, and we need not only to talk about the judgment of Keir Starmer, but let's have a look at the judgment of Gordon Brown and the judgment of Tony Blair. Labour stands accused of imposing a nefarious wrong-un on this nation for 4 decades, more than 4 decades. I talk, of course, of the Prince of Darkness, Peter Mandelson, arrested yesterday on suspicion of misconduct in a public office. Trevor Kavanagh next. Stay tuned.
breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Mr. Mandarin, how long do you think that you can stay on the island?
We're going to stay forever. Our rights have to be respected now. We're going to stay.
Do you expect Jeremy Clarkson to become a part of your new party?
I can tell you, if Jeremy Clarkson decided to darken my doorstep, I would be absolutely delighted.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, a warm welcome to the show to the former political editor, still eminent columnist at the Sun newspaper, Trevor Kavanagh. Welcome, Trevor.
Hi, Kevin.
Now, Kemi Badenoch said of Peter Mandelson, obviously we watched in astonishment as the former Deputy Prime Minister, former Business Secretary, former architect of New Labour, this man who sailed to the heights of Westminster for more than 4 decades. Kemi Badenoch said yesterday, Mandelson's arrest is the defining moment of Keir Starmer's premiership. It wasn't too long ago that the Prime Minister looked me in the eye at PMQs and said he had full confidence in Mandelson. Time to release the Mandelson files in full. We must know who knew what and when. No more delays. Kemi's right about that. It was September the 10th, I believe, that in PMQs, Keir Starmer declared not only to her but to the nation, to the House of Commons, his full confidence in our then Washington ambassador Peter Mandelson, Lord Mandelson. That declaration of confidence has come back to haunt him. So it's a day of reckoning for Starmer's judgment. But while, for example, Gordon Brown huffs and puffs and screams and shouts about these nefarious flights of Jeffrey Epstein coming in with girls allegedly to see the then Prince Andrew. He's very, very halo polishing on all this. Shouldn't we be asking him questions about why he brought Mandelson back from scandal, promoted him to a high office of state, business secretary, and then later promoted him, elevated him to the House of Lords, gave him a peerage? Shouldn't we also be asking very serious questions of his predecessor, Tony Blair, who nurtured this guy, who made Peter Mandelson a key player in this nation's narrative? Peter Mandelson, thanks to Labour, thanks to Tony Blair, thanks to Gordon Brown, thanks to Keir Starmer, has essentially from the back room been running this country for more than 4 decades, and we need some answers. This is a disgrace, isn't it?
It is, and I've been saying all of these things for something like 40 years. I mean, Peter Mandelson has been a wrong-un, and I've said this many times, and the last time only a couple of weeks ago, ever since he was first arrived with his silly moustache as a special advisor to Tony Blair and Red Rose Labour back around the Kinnock era. And he could, I characterise him in this way, that if you were given the opportunity to walk across a clear, open football field in a straight line, he is congenitally incapable of doing so. He would have to veer off and cause some mischief on the way, even if there were none to be seen until he caused it. He is just, he cannot stop himself. He likes living on a dangerous sort of pathway. He likes taking risks, especially when there's a whiff of money at the end of it.
Indeed, and I'm getting a little fed up. I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't have an intellect. I'm not saying that wasn't a bad operator on the political scene. But all these Westminster Times, day in, day... You have to remember, yes, he was a flawed character, but it was absolutely brilliant, man. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, well, let me tell you something, Westminster gang. Brilliant people don't get caught. As I said to you once before, I think, Trevor, this guy, Mandelson, can't even take a pee in the street without getting caught. Everything he's ever done, he's got caught. So he has a nominal cleverness, but he ain't no genius, is he?
He's got a rather sinister demeanour, which gives him the impression, as he likes to portray himself, as being this prince of darkness who's working away in the background on Machiavellian plans, which in the end turn up trumps. But invariably, they crumble to ashes when put to the test. And I mean, almost everything he's done in ministerial positions as a commissioner, getting up to his neck in relationships with thuggish, if not murderous, oligarchs in Russia under Putin, Oleg Deripaska. I mean, these are really sinister people. They are not ordinary businessmen by any means. They didn't suddenly become billionaires or multi-billionaire oligarchs by dint of hard work in creating a business from scratch. They stole them. They are thieves. And Peter Mandelson lives in that company. And what he's done with Epstein is to associate with someone who is also on the dark side of honesty and truth. We're learning more and more every day, and this, unfortunately, is going to unravel right through this year, next year, and probably a couple of years to come. It's going to be a long time before Mandelson finally gets his comeuppance and his day in court. Probably he won't even appear in court after having been originally charged, if he is charged, until next year.
Indeed, and as I say, yes, this is a moment of reckoning for Keir Starmer. I think Kemi Badenoch is exactly right. I think it's something like 168 days since he was appointed ambassador in America, so it's not that long. And then Keir Starmer declaring his full confidence. So yes, he's got some serious questions to ask, but I think as a nation we have to demand of the Labour Party an explanation. Why did Tony Blair exalt this guy? Why did Gordon Brown promote him to the highest heights? We even know that, fair play to Gordon Brown, he didn't like Peter Mandelson, but he still venerated him because that, of course, was the Labour way. This guy, as you say, was an obvious wrong-un, an obvious bad guy, and let this party, the party of the people, allowed him effectively to run this country for more than 4 decades. That is very serious, and we need some answers from this lot, including the uncharacteristically right now very silent Tony Blair and Gordon Brown, who's trying to deflect from his own problems by banging on about these flights that Jeffrey Epstein flew into Britain allegedly full of girls for allegedly Prince Andrew. Fine, I'm with him there. Let's have a look at that. That needs investigating. But, hey, Gordon, don't worry about that. Why don't you answer a few questions that we've got of you about Peter Mandelson? Honestly, it's the oldest trick in the book. Just blame someone else, make a noise, then maybe you won't get in trouble. We see you, Gordon Brown, we see you. Now, let me ask you this as well, Trevor, because I think this entire saga that we're going through now, Andy and Mandy, Andy for the headline writers, Prince Andrew arrested last week, former Prince Andrew, Mandelson yesterday. The establishment, the old ways, I think, are on trial here. That's what's happening. We're beginning to say, why did we protect this oaf just because he's the Queen's son, his favourite son for so many years? Why did we let him get away with obvious wrongdoing? Same deal with Mandelson, as we've just discussed. And what we discover, or what we hear from Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House, I think it was yesterday, he said, I'm going to actually lift this convention we have in the House of Commons that we never discuss the royal family. I'm going to lift it in the case of the former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. We can now, Labour, or MPs can now discuss Andrew. What a load of claptrap. How about MPs, the people that we vote, are allowed to discuss and debate what our decidedly dodgy royal family have been getting up to quite clearly for quite a number of years. It's ridiculous. This deference that we all gather around, oh, it's the royal family, we can't discuss them. We've got to start discussing them, because it seems to me there is evidence that the royal family has been abusing our deference and abusing the fact that MPs, by convention, don't discuss them. They've got to start talking about these people, haven't they?
It's all over, Kevin. I think that that deference is now dead. I think the royal family is reeling and could seriously be in danger itself. What the power of the throne and the monarchy was that anyone who crossed it was immediately in trouble, either in terms of their career, their future. Society would freeze them out and so on. That is over. Now we've got a free-for-all, and it's probably uglier than the reverse. So this is something that the royal family has to confront and deal with, and I'm not sure that it's got any weapons left. I think that they are on the back foot. They are a decimated group of people. You haven't got the royal family as we've known them, a group of people. You've got Prince William, and you've got King Charles, and you've got their partners and wives, and you've got Princess Anne. You haven't got Prince Harry, and you haven't got Prince Andrew, and perhaps good riddance, both of them. But the survivors, if you like call them, are on their own, and they're having to balance and juggle the future of the monarchy all by themselves, with precious little and maybe fast diminishing support from the general public. There are old stagers who will go to the death to support and encourage the monarchy. But, you know, young people are not in the slightest bit interested in the King or Prince Harry. They might like Princess Kate, and Princess Anne indeed. They might have benign attitudes towards many of them, but they have no real interest. They don't want to fight for king and country at any point. They have no real interest and support for monarchy as such. They tolerate it. That tolerance is now being really squeezed, and I think that the royal family themselves know they are in mortal danger.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that the people of this country, given what we've been learning over the past few weeks and months about what they're up to, it's not just Andrew. You know, there are some serious questions to be asked about their accommodation, why so many of them seem to be paying about 10 quid a week to rent massive palaces. There are so many questions that we need to ask about the royal family, and we have a right to demand that our representatives, MPs, are allowed to scrutinise them, and scrutinise them very closely in the House of Commons. So I hope they get talking about that very soon. Trevor, fantastic to talk to you as always. Thank you so much for your time. The brilliant Trevor Kavanagh there, former political editor of The Sun, still writes some brilliant columns for that paper. I highly recommend them. Let's go to break. When we come back, we are going to be talking about this extraordinary saga at the BAFTA Awards the other night. The Tourette's guy using the N-word, 2 black stars at the podium at the time. BBC doesn't edit that shouting of the N-word out. It's all an absolute shambolic fiasco, and now a BAFTA judge has resigned in disgust over the utterly unforgivable, his words, handling of this situation. All of that next. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the BAFTAs on Sunday night. I used to have to attend that event. My life is so much happier now that I don't have to. Same goes for the Oscars. All those award ceremonies, shoot me now, they're so boring. Just a bunch of lovies slapping each other on the back. Oh, you're wonderful. Here's a trophy. Fantastic. They like it, I suppose. Anyway, on Sunday night at the Festival Hall, it all went badly wrong. They invited, and why not? He's the star of a film called I Swear. It's about Tourette's. They invited the star of that film to attend. He's in the audience. And two black stars are up on the stage. They are Delroy Lindo and Michael Jordan, about to give a visual effects award. And of course, the Tourette's guy down in the audience shouts the N-word. A horrible moment. The BBC should have cut it out. They didn't, of course, in their time-honoured fashion. It went out. And today, a BAFTA judge has sensationally quit in protest about the terrible handling of this situation, and he says that the N-word incident was utterly unforgivable. I cannot and will not contribute my time. He said he won't contribute his time, energy and expertise, very modest, isn't he, to an organisation that has repeatedly failed to safeguard the dignity of black guests, members and the black creative community. Let's talk to campaign director at Defund the BBC, Rebecca Ryan. Rebecca, first off, it's the BBC again. They just can't work that dump switch, can they? Just like Glastonbury with, you know, death to the IDF with old Bob Vylan. They let him go on for 40 minutes. And now, I mean, it's not rocket science. If a guy shouts the N-word when there's two black stars on the stage, you dump that. You make sure the audience can't hear it. But the BBC didn't. It always gets everything wrong, doesn't it?
It's an absolute farce. I mean, how to make an absolute mess of the BAFTAs, and the BBC has done it, you know, and it's just shocking. They knew, they most likely knew in advance, obviously, that this film was going to win, and therefore, you know, who was going to be in the audience. In fact, the audience were warned in person in advance that, you know, that there were people with Tourette's in the audience, and therefore there may be some language that was offensive. So everybody, they all knew, and yet somehow they managed to let this go through and just embarrassed. I mean, the purpose of the film that won is to tell the story of Tourette's. So the Tourette's sufferers have been embarrassed further by this, but also obviously the black people on stage who were presenting and those in the audience, and then across the country as well. And the thing is, they had a 2-hour, it wasn't like a small delay that they had to work with here. The BBC had a 2-hour delay to work with and edit this out. And they've turned around and they've said, one of the producers said they just couldn't hear it because they were working from a truck.
Oh, yeah, that's a bit like they couldn't hear Bob Vylan, wasn't it? Do you see a picture emerging here? Now, the Tourette's guy's called John Davidson. As you say, he's the star of a film called I Swear. It's about Tourette's. Now, people who suffer from Tourette's, there are all sorts of reasons why they have their tics, but one of the reasons that they shout terrible things is because they are compelled, they feel compelled to say and shout the most inappropriate thing possible. So when John Richardson saw the two black guys on the stage, he shouted the N-word. And I want to say that Michael Jordan and Delroy Lindo handled that situation with great dignity. They acted like it didn't even happen. So alone among this shambolic saga, those two emerge as heroes. We cannot blame John Davidson. I think it's right to invite him there. You can't blame him. You know, he suffers from a condition. But this guy who's quit today, John T. Richardson, no, me neither. But he's some sort of filmmaker or something. I don't like this. He said, after considerable soul searching, I feel compelled to withdraw from the BAFTA emerging talent judging panel. The organisation's handling of the unfortunate Tourette's N-word incident last night at the awards was utterly unforgivable. I cannot contribute my time, energy and expertise to an organisation that has repeatedly failed to safeguard the dignity of black guest members and black creative community. Well, what does he mean by that? You mean, should it... I mean, BAFTA, you know, obviously... you know, do not win the gold medal for brilliant organisation here. But what is this guy Jonty saying? That they should never have invited the Tourette's guy in case he shouted the N-word? I don't quite get it.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes zero sense for him to resign from BAFTA, because actually, as I just said, BAFTA handled it well in that they, in advance, warned the audience. And what else could they do? As you say, the film was about Tourette's. The guy was in the audience, and it's highly likely that something like this was going to happen, and there's going to be some very offensive language, because, as we know with Tourette's, if you're under an extreme sort of pressured situation, that's when you're triggered to say the most offensive thing, you know. And so, but BAFTA warned people in advance. It's the BBC that have completely mishandled how, you know, they had a 2-hour delay to edit this out, and it's not good enough to. We were working in a truck, you know.
2 hours. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? It's
exactly.
If the BBC can find a way to make a terrible mistake, you can guarantee they will find that way every single time. They're useless, aren't they?
Absolutely useless. And this is the thing, they just had to have someone in the auditorium saying, oh, this is the time you need to cut out, you know, just some communication. It's not okay just to say we were sat in a truck so we couldn't hear it. Yeah. That's not the journalistic excellence or the excellence of production that we expect from the BBC, or the BBC are obliged to deliver. And yet we're the ones who have to pay for this organisation that keeps making, you know, a farce out of these kind of events.
I think that BAFTA were right to invite John Richardson. They were right to warn the audience. I don't think they've done much wrong. John T. Richardson is framing this as some sort of terrible racism incident as endorsed by BAFTA. That's not fair either. I mean, it's an unfortunate occurrence, but it's not really racism, is it? It's a guy with Tourette's compelled to say the most inappropriate thing possible. People with Tourette's are wont to get onto trains and shout Allahu Akbar. They'll do anything they tend to do and say things that are the most shocking thing you could possibly say in any given situation. So that's what happened here. So John T. Richardson is just a virtue signaller. The BAFTA, I think, in the end, can't be blamed. Respect to Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan. Fantastic behaviour on their part. But the BBC, another massive, great state broadcaster, balls up. It's getting ridiculous, isn't it?
It is, and what's frustrating about this is that, you know, that a lot of people have come out against BAFTA for this incident, or against the guy for saying it, but actually it's just they're uncomfortable with coming down and saying this is the BBC. It's the BBC that's messed up here. Yeah. Let's put the blame where it actually lands. And people
don't blame this guy with Tourette's. He's not a racist. He suffers from a condition. It's as simple as that. John T. Richardson, or what's his name? Yes, John T. Richardson isn't quite getting the point. Really good to talk to you, Rebecca, as always. Thank you very much. Rebecca Ryan, Campaign Director for Defund the BBC. Now, after the break, Samara Gill, our ace reporter, will join me in the studio with updated, fantastic video, shocking video. You've seen the video of the lady police officer dealing with the Muslims in Whitechapel in East London because there's a Christian preacher there. They called the police because he wasn't being very nice about their religion. They didn't quite realise that's not a reason to call the police. But the policewoman handled herself brilliantly, said it's a free speech issue. But what you didn't see, or what we haven't seen yet, is the Christian preacher at the centre of the row. Well, we've got video now of that preacher. We'll show you that to get more of this extraordinary story, and we'll get the latest from Samara Gill next. Stay tuned.
We genuinely are on resignation watch. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Labour MPs, they say, listen, Keir, your position is untenable. This is all about appointing that rat, Peter Mandelson, who faces a criminal investigation.
Can Keir Starmer survive the Mandelson scandal? We have breaking news for you. We've just been talking about, of course, Morgan McSweeney, the Chief of Staff. We've now had another resignation from Number 10. And Keir Starmer's Director of Communications, Tim Allen, has now also resigned. The plot is thickening. The noose is tightening.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Samara Gill's in the studio. Hi, Samara. You're just hot foot from Whitechapel, where this extraordinary incident unfolded towards the end of last week, where the coppers, the locals, some local Muslim men, thought it was an offence, a criminal offence, for a Christian preacher there to be rude about Islam. He allegedly called the Prophet Muhammad a donkey. These guys, these Muslim guys, thought that was against the law. It's not. But they called the police. The brilliant female copper turns up, said this is a freedom of speech issue. Oh, he shouldn't be here. This is a Muslim area. He's got every right to be here. Oh, he's risking it. She said that's his risk. So she did a fantastic job. Until now, we haven't seen this preacher. He's off screen, as it were, not caught on camera. Now we can see him. A new video has emerged just right now. And before we get Samara's comments, let's have a look at it. So if you're listening on the radio, what we're seeing is a Christian preacher, a white guy with a beard. All of his equipment is being kicked. He's being jostled around. The Muslim, a big crowd of Muslims are screaming their head off at him, shouting it's a Muslim area. So he is still brave. He's being pushed around now. Quite dramatic scene, Samara.
Very dramatic, actually. And you know what? Having been down there just now, I'm not surprised. It's a hostile environment down there if you're not one from the community, that's for sure. And, you know, you can see here one of the quotes that's being said in that now unearthed video is, "Don't say Muhammad." Now, last time I checked, we don't have blasphemy laws in this country, and you are allowed to say Muhammad, and you're allowed to say it in whatever context you want. Now, I'm not saying go and say horrible things about their prophet. No, I mean, that's just not nice.
But you legally, you can.
Well,
let's have a look at this, the original video, because there's a moment in it that I think bears some serious discussion. So this is the video that gave rise to the one that you've just seen. So this video is the copper dealing with these angry Muslims, and at this point you can't see the Christian preacher off screen. So let's just remind ourselves of the video that went viral. Broken by this show last Friday, by the way.
I hear what you're saying. In this country, we have freedom of speech. The same way that you guys have freedom of speech. Now, you guys can see us here, and you don't agree. You're all not welcome to stand here. And I say to them, but they're not going to do this. I understand you guys don't take it. I recommend that you don't listen to him.
There's a guy, we missed out the bit, there's a guy who explains why he called the police. He said, He was being rude about how religion. I'm paraphrasing. He said, and he called the Prophet Muhammad a donkey, allegedly. And he said, that's why I called the police. Well, you know, herein lies our problem. That guy and probably the rest of that crowd there, they don't understand it's not against the law. It's not a police issue if someone calls the Prophet Muhammad a donkey. I don't advise it. I don't think it's very nice. Don't insult people's religion. But if you want to in this country, it's not unlawful. You're allowed to.
Well,
and they don't understand it.
According to a lot of members of the local community, people should be locked up, apparently, if you say bad things about Islam. Let's take a look at this guy that I interviewed and what he had to say, just a random guy on the street.
Okay, interesting.
It is a Muslim area.
Yeah?
Lots of Bengali people and Muslim people live around this area.
If people say things that are offensive to Muslims, should the police be called?
Yes, definitely. Why not? And then you know, it's like religious things. So police will come and take it.
So people should be arrested for saying anti-Muslim things?
It depends. It depends on what they are saying. You understand? If they are saying bad things, police knows how it goes, so they will take it seriously. Maybe the person is arrested. Maybe they will give him a chance for not saying anything.
Total misunderstanding of British law. No, mate, you can't call the police just because people are being nasty about Islam.
I mean, genuinely, it's frightening how little so many of those people, and you can check my longer form video out on YouTube, which is a big package about many different interviews with many different people who corroborated those claims and said, yes, if Islam is insulted, the police should be called. Sorry? I mean, you know, there were people saying that you should be locked up for saying bad things about Islam. This is not the United Kingdom that I recognise or remember, and this is the problem when we have these communities that feel that they sort of exist within their own set of laws within this country. As far as I'm concerned, there's one law, and that's the British law, and unfortunately, I mean, it seems to have been all lost in the process because we've been very we've mollycoddled a lot of these immigrants into the country and said, you know, you can keep your religion, you can keep this and that, and I've got no issue with that. But sorry, Britain needs to be the overarching sort of philosophy here.
Yeah, British law is not there to protect religions. We got rid of our blasphemy laws, the last one in 2008. So we have no blasphemy laws. So I'm afraid if you want to go out there and insult the Archbishop of Canterbury, Christianity, you want to insult the Pope, you want to insult the Prophet Muhammad, all of those people in Whitechapel, no doubt other Muslim areas as well, they've got to learn it's not against the law. You know, they might find it terribly offensive, but in the end, frankly, so what? It is not against the law for them to be offended. Listen, you were in that area. I saw in the background various women walking by wearing burqas. I was there myself the other week. You can't move for burqa women. Same deal in various other towns, Birmingham and towns across the north in this city. Zia Yusuf, a Muslim, and Layla Cunningham, by the way, of the Reform UK Party. Zia Yusuf yesterday unveiled Reform's vow, its pledge to legally ban the burqa if they become the government. I think it's time to do that, don't you?
Absolutely. You see countries like Saudi Arabia, Dubai, for example.
Tunisia.
Well, Saudi Arabia and Dubai, they have burqas, but they have very, very strict laws, and it's very safe. The
Tunisia completely banned them.
Tunisia completely banned them as well, but now they're much safer for it. The issue is England is very unsafe at the moment. We cannot be having anonymity, face coverings in general, because of the rise in crime. You know, people in Middle Eastern countries, in many countries where it's allowed, sure, there's high social trust. Unfortunately, we don't have that in Britain anymore.
I think also we should make a stand, because I think the burqa is a symbol of female subservience that we should not endorse. So let me know what you think. I think there are two reasons to ban the burqa. One, it's about women, and the other, it's about security and safety. Let's go to break. After the break, Ola Minahan will join us to go through the stories of the day. That next.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to the second hour of today's Drive Time. Very eventful show. And in a little while, we're going to be talking about ISIS bride Shamima Begum, who, as you know, has been languishing in the Syrian desert. Now, Syria's falling apart at the seams, and all the people held in these detention camps are just wandering out, including, we fear, very soon, Shamima Begum, and the word is she's plotting. We don't want to let her back into this country because she's not a British citizen, but the word is she's plotting to get back on an illegal small boat. She's going to become a small boat migrant. So will Shamima Begum illegally smuggle herself back into the country? It doesn't bear thinking about that in a little while. But first, let's go through some of the big stories of the day with the lead organiser of the Pink Ladies, the excellent Orla Minahan. Hi, Orla.
How are you? Nice to see you.
Always a pleasure. Now, before we get onto some of the big stories, am I right that you have switched your allegiances from Reform UK to Restore Britain, Rupert Lowe's Restore Britain? Is that right?
You are correct. Yes.
Could you explain why? Could you explain why?
Look, there's nothing untoward to describe or talk through. I have been a long admirer of Robert Generally, I was going to say that could have been
no, not him.
No, not him. Of Rupert, and Rupert has been always very supportive about the work that we've done within the Pink Ladies. I did a podcast with him. The work that he's done, the rape gang inquiry, was absolutely fantastic work. And if you can call such a horrendous thing fantastic, but the exposure that's given the women that were the victims of these horrendous crimes. So for me, Rupert and the teams, everything that they stand for aligns very much with how I feel about things. And you know, I've always been, and rightly or wrongly, and I've had a lot of criticism from people within Reform, but I've always been very worried about the influx of Tories. And you know, I've always been very vocal about that. I joined Reform because I wanted change. I joined Reform because I wanted a completely different political landscape. I didn't join forces with the Tories. They had 14 years, they failed miserably. That's not what I was about. So, you know, rather than moan and complain, I just decided to move and go to a party that I felt was more aligned with my views.
So like a fair few other Reform or former Reform supporters that I've spoken to, what disillusioned you was watching the spectacle of more and more Tories, some of them former Tory ministers, crossing the divide, as it were, from the Tory party and joining Reform. So do you sort of fear that Reform UK might just turn into the kind of Tory light party wearing a different coat?
Look, I think that Nigel is I think he's a very astute man. I don't think he's a fool by any means. And I think he thinks in his mind he's doing the right thing, and that's absolutely fine. And who am I to tell him otherwise, or anybody? The point is, and I was on GB News and I was very vocal about this, and I said, from my point of view, I joined Reform 18 months ago. I've met some amazing people who are all grassroots, come from businesses, come from backgrounds within, you know, different sort of specialisms, who joined because they wanted to stand up and change the country. Changing something doesn't involve leading with people that failed for 14 years. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. And going back to Robert Jenrick, for me, he was the man that caused the very problem that we are seeing in this country day in and day out. The migrants that are in hotels, he was the one that facilitated this. He said, it's well documented that he said he was going to get other hotels, he was going to commission other hotels, and that's where they were going to put these thousands and thousands of undocumented migrants. Now, for me, for him to suddenly become on the shadow cabinet, just didn't sit well. It just didn't sit well. I like Suella. I think she's, you know, got a lot.
She's all right, but she was just another useless Tory Home Secretary who let the migrant crisis get worse and worse and worse, like Priti Patel. They all say, "Oh, I did my best," but you know, these people presided over the rise of the migrant crisis. Suella Braverman, Priti Patel, to a lesser extent Robert Jenrick, but they were all there for the Tories, and I understand what you're saying.
Ultimately, I always use this analogy, and I say, if you're in a bad relationship for 14 years and somebody treats you badly and you divorce them and you go out with somebody that's even worse for 18 months, you don't go back to that person because they were better than the next one. Find someone new. Simple. You know?
Which you've done, Orla, which you've done. I had Rupert Lowe on the show last week, gave us his first interview since forming the party. Very interesting. It's on YouTube if you want to have a look. Now, let's do some of the biggest stories of the day. Well, we learnt this morning that among his other many alleged sins, the then Prince Andrew used to charge his private massage sessions at Buckingham Palace to the taxpayers. So he would get these massagers to turn up at the palace, where apparently he would walk into the room completely naked. They'd massage him, and then he'd pay them off with a royal cheque, which essentially is taxpayers' money. I want to talk to you about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, but before I do, this is Labour Minister Chris Bryant talking about our hero in the House of Commons earlier today.
Colleagues, many civil servants have told me their own stories of their interactions with Mr Mountbatten Windsor, and they all betray the same pattern. A man on a constant self-aggrandising and self-enriching hustle. A rude, arrogant and entitled man who could not distinguish between the public interest, which he said he served, and his own private interest.
See, the thing is, Orla, those are fine words from Chris Bryant, and I agree with him. However, he's from the Labour Party. During the noughties, the early noughties, the then Prince Andrew was trade envoy for this country. Everybody knew what he was up to. There were memos written, there were complaints from ambassadors, from officials, from politicians around the world that he was feathering his own nest, lining his own pocket, behaving boorishly, you know, basically wasting taxpayers' money, all of this. Who allowed that to happen? Who stopped it? Yeah, it was the Labour Party, it was the Labour government. I'm not just blaming them, but the establishment, politicians from Westminster over the years have let this oaf Andrew get away with it. So all this high horse stuff now, a little bit too little too late, isn't it?
It is. And look, this is, you know, we've got to look back over the last few decades. It's only now, really, that we've had the Me Too movement. We've had the Epstein files that have come out. We've had the rape gang scandal. All of this stuff is now coming to the fore, which has been covered up for decades. It's been covered up, it's been enabled, it's been pushed under the carpet because the big boys and the ones, you know, the Epsteins, the Andrews, all of these people have got away with murder, and in some cases, literally. The thing is that it was allowed, and the only source of news was the mainstream media. And many of them were bought off, and many of them were involved. So now we're in a generation where we've got social media, we've got news at our fingertips. You know, people see things, they report it, and it's not tolerated anymore. So the only reason that they're coming out now and Mandelson's coming out and all these other things coming out is because they know they can't keep it quiet anymore, because they will be outed. I mean, look what Jimmy Savile got away with. Yeah, look what, you know, they all got away with it. Everybody knew it was happening, but they were deemed too big, almost too big to fail. They were big names. They were, you know, well connected. People won't tolerate it anymore. Yeah. Do you think, Orla, that you know, I keep saying that you got Mandy and Andy, Peter Mandelson and Andrew. We know what's. They sound like a bad boy band. Very bad. Now, they've both been arrested, both accused of misconduct in a public office. They both, of course, deny that. The case continues. But do you get the feeling, I mean, it's pretty shocking to see the King's brother get arrested. Fairly shocking to see Mandelson get arrested. I keep saying, looks to me
as if the establishment system that protected people like Andrew and allowed Mandelson to get away with what he got away with for so many years. The establishment always looked after itself.
Yeah.
The royals, the politicians, the high officials, the civil servants. To get the feeling, and I hope this is the case, that just maybe it's beginning to fall apart,
yes.
and that, you know, there may be happier times ahead.
I hope so. I really hope so. And I mean, look, you know, if you look at Mandelson and you look at what, I mean, why is Keir Starmer protecting him? Why is he protecting him like he is? You know, he is literally throwing himself under a bus to protect Mandelson. Why? Now, you could be, you know, you could be of the thought process of what's he got to hide, but obviously I'm not going to go down that route because we've got no proof. But ultimately, why are they protecting each other? If your neck was on the line, you would come clean, and he's not. I find that absolutely bizarre. So there's something going on there, but you're absolutely right. And do you know why? Because I believe that women particularly are coming forward and saying, we're not going to tolerate these men anymore. We're not going to tolerate being kept swept under the carpet, being abused, being used and being told to be quiet, going to the palace, doing massages, going to Epstein Island, you know, doing all these things. And when you complain, being told that you are, you know, no one wants to hear it, shh, keep quiet. Women aren't tolerating it anymore. And because of that, Kevin, that is why the establishment is going to fall, because women have got their voices and they are saying no more. End of story.
Well said.
And that's a good thing.
Well said, Orla.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Now, big question of the day. Reform UK. That party used to be in. But Zia Yusuf yesterday announced their policy. They're vowing, if they get into power, to ban the burqa. Now, whether or not it's Reform UK, do you agree with the idea of banning the burqa?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it is. I think it is the most horrendous way of controlling women. I think it is immoral. I think it is, you know, these poor women are forced to be subservient and seen and not heard. Not even seen, just not seen and not heard. Now, many women, and I'm not a Muslim woman, so I can't comment, but my view would be that they'll say, we do it because we want to. I cannot think in a million years that any woman would want to have a veil over her face and eat under the veil. I just think it is horrendous. Yeah. If you look at the Taliban and you look at the pictures you're showing now, in Afghanistan and in Iran and places like that where these women are covered up, they can't even speak in public. Now, I'm sorry, if you want to live like that, and that's the kind of rhetoric and lifestyle that you want to follow, then you do that, but you do it in a country that allows you to do it. You do not do it in a country where 120 years ago, women tied themselves to the gates of Downing Street and under racehorses so that they could have the vote and they could have equal rights. We've come too far to allow women to walk around the street not showing their faces, not showing their hands, not being able to speak. Now, I am glad that Reform are going down this route. I think it's absolutely necessary. I do think that it's unfair on Sarah Putin, because a year ago, I don't even think it was a year ago, when she stood up in Parliament, she brought this up and she was demonised and she was humiliated, and they allowed her to be humiliated because they said, that's not what we believe in. And now they've turned and they're agreeing with it, because they know that the public are behind this, and the public are saying, we are rejecting extreme Islam. We're rejecting this kind of, you know, female domination. It's not happening. This is the UK. We have equal rights for men and women. We respect our women. And by respecting our women, we do not expect them to cover their faces. On a security side, if I was to walk into a bank or I was to walk into a restaurant with a balaclava, pretty sure the police would be there pretty quickly. So why is it that they're allowed to? Do you see? It's just such double standards. and it is a security risk, as you were saying before.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. People they say, well, it's these women's choice. They made this choice to wear these burqas.
It's been made for them.
Even if they do in themselves make that choice, it's because, in my view, they're the victims of religious brainwashing. This is medieval. It is a symbol.
It's control.
It's a symbol of subservience of women, and that's got to stop. Couldn't agree with you more, Orla. I couldn't agree with you more. You've got to come on and do this again. That was amazing. Thank you very much. That's Orla Minihan, lead organiser of the Pink Ladies. Not mincing her words, I think you'd agree. Now, before change of tone now, folks, before we go to break, I want to talk, I'm serious, I want to talk about Punch the monkey. Punch is a little monkey at a Japanese zoo who was abandoned by his mum. There he is. And so the zookeepers gave him this little toy orangutan, and that's his only friend in the world. And all the other animals are also rejecting him. They don't know why monkey mothers sometimes reject their kids, but they do. And they don't know why other animals are turning their back on poor little Punch. But that's his only friend in the world, that orangutan toy. Now, this video is going viral. And I don't know about you, but it breaks my heart. What do you think? Look at that. It's his only friend in the world is a toy. Is Punch's mum the worst mother in Japan? 0344 499 1000. No, I'm joking. Seriously, but they don't know why. But poor little thing, he's got no friends. His only friend is his orangutan toy. Just thought I'd show you that. You know, well, I'm a bit of an animal lover, and this one, I said originally, I'm not going to put it on, it's too heartbreaking. But it really is, isn't it? Poor little Punch. Poor little Punch. Let me know what you think. 0344 499 1000. Now, before I well up and sob, we'll go to break now. When we come back, we'll talk about ISIS bride Shamima Begum. She's plotting, apparently, to return to Britain illegally. We won't let her in because she's not a British citizen. She's been languishing in this desert encampment now for quite a few years. But security at those encampments, those detention centres, is not good because Syria is falling apart at the seams. Many detainees, inmates of these centres, are just wandering out, literally just walking out. There are fears. Shamima Begum, Britain's ISIS bride, is about to do the same, and apparently she's got plans to make it to Calais and then come across the English Channel in an illegal small boat. So that really will be a migrant crisis, won't it? Let's talk about that next. Stay tuned.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk about Shamima Begum. Well, I laid out the story just before the break. Apparently, she's plotting. We won't let her back legally because she's not a British citizen, but she's plotting apparently to come back illegally on a small boat. Which, as I said, you think we've got a migrant crisis now, you wait until she gets back. Let's talk to former senior military intelligence officer Philip Ingram. Philip, you and I have spoken about the devious Ms. Begum many times. Of course, you know, she likes to portray herself as the innocent of a kid who was lured to the Middle East to join the death cult caliphate, the ISIS caliphate. She married an ISIS warrior. She was up to her neck in it. She's not an innocent victim. That much we know. All of her kids died. She gave birth out there. And has now for several years resided in one of the detention centres that litter the deserts of Syria. Now, her one is the worst one. It's called Al-Roj, and it is a filthy hellhole. Now, the point is, though, hitherto it's been secure. But Syria is falling apart at the seams. So security at these detention centres is dubious, to say the least. There are fears that she may soon walk straight out and make her way to Calais and come across in an illegal small boat. This has been revealed to filmmaker Andrew Drury, who I actually know. I've interviewed him myself. He's interviewed Begum 6 times in Al-Roj, and he's revealed that he has been contacted from inside the camp by an American former jihadi who is plotting to escape with Begum. They're looking for money to fund her crossing across the English Channel. Now, if she pulls this off and actually manages to pitch up on Dover Beach or something, this is going to present us with a world of trouble, isn't it?
It is going to present us with a world of trouble, and it's, you know, not just Shamima Begum, but all of the other ISIS terrorists that are being held in that camp. You know, as the Syrian Kurds withdraw, as the new Syrian regime come in, the new Syrian regime aren't minded in the same way to guard the camps. And the deal that was done by the international community was the Kurdish forces would guard them. And this is what's leading to the potential that they're going to walk out. It's going to be very, very difficult. You know, a lot of this is speculation. And if your members of the press can see it, film crews can watch it, the intelligence services will be watching it closely as well.
Let's talk about Ms. Begum herself. You know, she's been on a journey, as they say in reality TV. At first, we used to see her in her burka, you know, well, she used to wear, you could see her face, but she was very strictly covered in the Islamic way. Obviously, she was like that in the Caliphate, where she witnessed the horrors that ISIS inflicted on its victims. You know, she was a terrorist. She is a terrorist. She's well known, actually, to be one of the troublemakers in the camp. There's a sort of unofficial kind of hierarchy there, and there's a bunch of harpies at the middle who apparently are the real ringleaders, and she's one of them. However, you know, all of a sudden, you remember, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, she suddenly started appearing in Western clothes, wearing baseball caps. Hey, look at me, I'm just a victim. I was only a kid. I was only 15 when I left Britain. Please, can I come back? No, because Sajid Javid, the then Home Secretary, took away her British citizenship. She doesn't have British citizenship. Therefore, she's not allowed back, and we will be very ill-advised to let her back, either legally or illegally, wouldn't we?
We'd be very ill-advised. You know, it would cost us a minimum of £1 million a year just to monitor her and monitor the threats from her. And what's been quite clear over the number of times she's been interviewed is she's duplicitous in the way she describes, you know, what has happened to her and everything else. You know, at 15, she was the same age as Greta Thunberg when Greta Thunberg was watched by world leaders at the UN General Assembly giving a speech, and everyone applauded her as to how mature and everything else that she was. So, you know, Begum knew exactly what she was up to. And again, there have been a number of reports going on about how the wives of foreign fighters got involved in policing the streets and got involved in the selecting, the torture, the trafficking of the Yazidi Christian Syrian women and bringing them in as sex slaves for their husbands and for other foreign fighters. And they were involved in policing individuals for not complying with the Sharia law and everything else. And they were described by other Middle Eastern women that were involved in it as well as being vicious, to the point where even Middle Eastern ISIS members were horrified at what not just the male but their brides, the females from the foreign fighters, would get up to. And Shamima Begum herself in some of her interviews described how she saw heads in bins. Well, if she was seeing heads in bins, she was probably involved in the teams that were dealing with the peoples whose heads that ended up in the bins. She's up to her neck in it, but there isn't the evidence that will pass the prosecution test to get over the line for criminal prosecution in the UK. That's the real difficulty we have.
You know, she, as you say, she married an ISIS warrior, Dutch guy actually, with red hair. They had 4 children in the caliphate. All of those children died, natural causes, but proves how hellish the caliphate actually was. Not a hygienic place, to say the least. As you say, told all these stories in various interviews that revealed that she took a very callous attitude. She was asked, well, what did you think when you saw all these heads in waste paper bins? She just shrugged her shoulders. That's the kind of person we're dealing with here. You know, she's not a British citizen. She must not be allowed back. And I think we should call for our border force to be extremely vigilant here. If they even see a sight of this woman, they got to stop her, haven't they?
Well, they will be, and our intelligence services will be liaising with their partner services across Europe to see if she does come in. And you know, if anyone out there thinks that they're going to do some good by trying to help fund her come across and everything else, they could easily be committing a crime under the Terrorism Act by helping to fund someone who has been involved in terrorism beforehand. So for all of those do-gooders that are watching, if they think, oh, we'll just slip her a few hundred quid here or a few hundred quid there to help her get through the smuggling routes, they could be prosecuted as well. And if they do, I hope they are prosecuted. The chances of her coming back in are still slim. If she does, it's going to cause a huge amount of trouble and cost us a huge amount of money to try and deal with it. She's got no entitlement to be here. She's not a British citizen. It's her problem as to where she lives.
And just a quick word about Al Roj isn't the only detention camp, but it's the main one. By all accounts, a living hell. But the security aspect, in terms of the Syrian regime falling apart at the seams, and with it, security at these camps is being extremely compromised. I mean, are we talking about at Al Roj, where there are thousands of residents, including Shamima Begum, are we talking about them before too long just being able to walk out into the desert? End of story?
There's the potential for that. You know, the new Syrian government hasn't put the same sort of protection and isn't treating them as the closed camps in the way that the Kurdish forces that were guarding them had been mandated to do so by international agreement with, in particular, the American forces, but other allies. And as they're handing them over as the new Syrian regime moves across the country, the danger is that we're going to get potentially thousands of terrorists with combat experience, with probable access to weapons, with probable access to explosives, trying to get back into Europe and get across Europe. The threat that is going to give to us is huge.
It really is worrying. Philip, really good to talk to you, though. Thank you so much for your time. Philip Ingram, former senior military intelligence officer, on the threat that Shamima Begum, ISIS bride, who left this country as a 15-year-old, but went on to take a central role in the dirty deeds of the caliphate, the ISIS caliphate, may be on the brink of busting out of her detention centre, which won't be difficult, and heading for Calais, getting on a boat and coming here. If she makes it here, can you imagine? Can you imagine? 03444991000. Now, got a very special story for you next. It's not run-of-the-mill. We're going to talk to a former Catholic priest. His name is Alberto Ravagnani. He gave up being a Catholic priest because he didn't like the celibacy rules. Basically, wanted to get his rocks off. So he stopped being a priest. It's true. But there's a serious side to it. He says the celibacy rules for Catholic priests are ridiculous. They're anachronistic, out of time, and he should not have had to labour under those rules. And he doesn't think priests should generally. We'll talk to Alberto next. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, look, I explained the story before the break, but basically, my next guest, Alberto Ravagnani, he was a Catholic priest. 2 years ago, he stopped being a Catholic priest, gave up, quit the Catholic cloth, if you like, because he's a heterosexual young man. The ladies tell me an extremely attractive young man. He's a good-looking guy, Alberto. And basically, he wanted to enjoy the fruits of being a young man, a heterosexual young man, and his religion banned him from doing it if he was to be a priest, so he quit the priesthood. There's a serious point to this. So let's talk. Well, welcome to the show, Alberto.
Hi, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Now, as I say, it's easy to laugh about this, but it's a serious point, isn't it? You feel that the rule of celibacy that you had to observe when you were a Catholic priest is unreasonable to young men and also out of time. It's not a modern restriction, and you think that the Catholic Church should abandon the rule of celibacy for priests?
Not really. I think the celibacy has its own reasons. I think the problem is the duty of celibacy. If you want to be a Catholic priest, you must be a celibate man. I think that this is the problem. If you want to be a celibate man, if you decide from your free will that you want to live like that, I think you have to have the chance to do this. But I wanted to be a priest. I just wanted to be a priest. I didn't want to be celibate, actually. But that was the rule, so I had to accept it.
And be honest, Alberto, did you absolutely 100% observe that rule when you were a priest?
No,
you
not really.
You didn't. As I say, tell other priests. I've always been fascinated by this. I just cannot believe that. Well, you're one case as an example, but I can't believe that all these young men who become Catholic priests, very devoted to God, very devoted to their religion, I cannot believe that all of them, every single one of them, is entirely celibate. Am I right not to believe that?
Yes, you're right. Well, Catholic Church, I think the problem is being hypocritical about it. It's human to admit that sometimes we fail, even if we have promised to be celibate men. But the problem is pretending that it does not happen in the life of the clergy.
I mean, it's not a very healthy thing to order a young man to do, is it? It's not. I don't think it's good for their mental health. Was it bad for your mental health?
Well, you can afford. You can be a celibate man and survive if you are surrounded by good relationships, friends, relationships with the men and women from the parish and with God, obviously. I think that if you have good relationships, you can afford such a choice. Otherwise, it's quite difficult, almost impossible to remain safe with this kind of choice.
Now, you quit the church 2 years ago. You just said that you struggled with the celibacy rule, and in fact you broke the celibacy rule when you were a priest. Was it hard for you? Was it a really tough decision for you to give up being a priest?
Well, I actually quit the church 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
Yes. So it's
hang on,
I've just started a new life, so I don't actually...
you've just started? I've got 2 years ago here, so it was 2 weeks ago. Oh
yes, 2 weeks ago, yes. It's fresh news.
Okay, so you've just done it. Well, how hard was it for you, that decision? Or how hard was it for you to stop being a priest?
Yes, it has been quite hard, but I've been able to be very aware of this. I took 2 years to take this decision.
I see.
Yes,
yeah.
And
so you've wrestled with the decision, struggled with the decision for 2 years, and
yes.
2 weeks ago you said it's time to do it. Yes.
Yes, yes.
And how do you feel now that you've done it?
I feel good. I feel free. I'm happy because I took this decision when I was very aware of this, and for me it is a positive decision. It's not just the decision to quit the church, to quit actually I didn't decide to quit the church. I'm still a Catholic man and I want to be in the church. I decided not to be in the church as a priest, but I want to keep on doing my mission. I want to keep on doing the mission of evangelization. So this choice is not I don't want to change completely my life.
Okay, so just to clarify, Alberto, your feeling about the Catholic Church and the celibacy rule for priests, what you think it should be a choice. If you want to be a priest and you want to be celibate, go ahead, by all means do that. But if you don't want to be celibate, you perhaps want to marry, have a family, you think that should be allowed for Catholic priests?
I think it could be a good thing. Yeah. Yes.
And how is your opinion of that? How is that being greeted by your friends in the Catholic Church? Are there a lot of people, priests perhaps, who agree with you?
I've just met a priest who decided to quit the ministry, like me, who just got married with his new wife, and I've known many priests who stepped down from their role, and I know many priests who struggle with this problem. I know many priests who struggle with homosexuality. Sexuality is part of our human being, so it has to be a part of our faith too, and I think we should try to discuss it without thinking it is a taboo.
Exactly. No, very good point. Now, so do you have a girlfriend now, Alberta?
No, not yet.
So, did you have one before you quit the church?
No.
So this is purely an intellectual decision on your part?
Well, not only an intellectual decision, because I mean, I am my body told me things. I mean, but I didn't get into any relationship while I was a priest, because it would have been impossible, in my opinion, to have a relationship.
I see. Too difficult then. Well, so now, what are you doing about getting a girlfriend now you're able to do it? Have you signed up on dating websites or anything like that?
Not yet. If someone from the UK wants to no, I don't know. I'm joking. I don't know. I just want to live and see what it happens. I'm really open.
By the way, where are you now, Alberto?
Milan.
In Milan. That's your hometown, yeah? So you're available for any attractive young women, yes?
Saint, attractive young women.
So attractive. Well, okay. Listen. Well, let's keep in touch, and when you get a girlfriend, come back on, the two of you, and we'll have a chat. And really interesting, though. Interesting. Thank you for coming on, and I wish you all the best. Thank you, Alberto.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Alberto Ravagnani there, former priest who gave up the priesthood 2 weeks ago so he could get a girlfriend, you know what I mean? What I found interesting about that, because I've always been fascinated by this, that he said when he was a priest, he wasn't celibate. They can't do it, can they? You know, who trusts all these priests? Oh, I'm totally celibate, absolutely celibate. You trust them? I don't. Alberto revealing what I've always suspected there, that some of them don't particularly observe that rule. 'Tis out of date, though, don't you think? I don't understand what the point of forcing priests not to enjoy a relationship with a woman, get married, to have children, to have sex, for God's sake. I don't understand it. Do you? If you're a Catholic, I'd be fascinated to hear. 03444991000. Good luck, though, to Alberto Ravagnani. Now, next up, let's talk about sport, shall we? Mike Anstead, head of sport at The Sun, content at The Sun, will be in the studio to talk about some of the big sporting stories of the day. So that next, stay tuned.
Breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Mr. Mandarin, how long do you think that you can stay on the island?
We're going to stay forever. Our rights have to be respected now. We're going to stay.
Do you expect Jeremy Clarkson to become a part of your new party?
I can tell you, if Jeremy Clarkson decided to darken my doorstep, I would be absolutely delighted.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Sport head of content at The Sun, Mike Anstead, is in the studio. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Kev.
He's come here to discuss Fulham's amazing victory at Sunderland on Sunday. That's what you're here to talk about, isn't it?
Absolutely, Fulham every day of the week,
Yeah.
including the West Ham game next week, which I'm going to.
Yeah, that's right. Let's just talk about our own team, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. It's just what the listeners want.
Do you think you're going to survive?
I'm hoping that Nottingham Forest, by appointing Vitor Pereira, I'm not convinced as a manager, I'm hoping that'll be the thing that keeps us up.
Yeah, as a Londoner, they're my second favourite team, so I hope you do make it. It's been a strange season. Nobody thought it'd be this bad for the Hammers, did they?
No, but I mean, I think they recruited badly. Some poor choices, managers. So, I mean, kind of lucky in a way to still be in the mix, but I mean, I think there's some poor teams down the bottom of the season.
Well, good luck to the Hammers. And talking about London teams, to be serious for a second, my team Fulham do host Spurs on Sunday. I'll be there. Now, if Spurs lose that, which of course they will, and then they maybe have another defeat, I mean, they're going to be talking relegation potentially.
They already are talking relegation, yeah. I mean, there's a few Spurs fans on the Sun Sport desk who are absolutely terrified of this idea. They're already talking about, well, maybe we'll win the Champions League, be in the Champions League next season, but then playing Championship football, which I think,
funny.
I can't believe Spurs can't pick up a couple of wins, which will be enough to get them going again. But they're absolutely convinced it's got in there. So there's definitely a psychological element to it.
Yeah.
They are badly out of form, but you look at Spurs' squad. I mean, it's superior to Forest and West Ham. They're down there.
Yeah, and that's what's the mystery about Spurs, is they got a decent squad. I mean, on Sunday against Arsenal, they look like a Sunday morning pub team.
Yeah, defence was terrible, all over the place, just a shambles really. And is this new boss Igor Tudor, who's just clearly a bit of a stopgap? Is he going to do anything to change it? I mean, I haven't seen anything so far, but
he's got to do something, and he's got to do something fast. But let's hope he doesn't do anything before Sunday. So. Go Fulham. England into the World Cup semis. What does that mean?
Yeah, so England T20 World Cup. We're in through to semi-finals.
Sorry, it's cricket.
Come on, Kev. Come on. We're not on the Fulham podcast now. But I can't work out that England are a great team or a terrible team, but I think today we're a great team. So Harry Book, who's the captain, obviously in a bit of trouble recently with his drinking exploits down under before the Ashes, but he hit 100, exactly 100 off 50 balls. Which is pretty good going. And England are through to semis with a game to spare in these Super 8, so through to semis. I don't know who they'll get yet, but yeah, they're on course for glory. So I mean, we've been pretty up and down. I'd say
we're mercurial cricket-wise, aren't we?
Exactly. We've struggled a lot and been a couple of near misses with wins that could have easily been defeats, but somehow here we are, stumbled into semi-finals.
So last week, one of the stories was the race row, the Real Madrid Benfica race row. Courtois has taken a swipe at his old boss Jose Mourinho, claiming that Vinicius brought the alleged racist jibe on himself with his celebrations. That's not a very good excuse, is it?
No, exactly. It was a bit strange from Mourinho last week. So, he's obviously pictured, filmed on the sidelines talking to Vinicius. We don't know what he says, but he's come out after the game and saying, well, by doing what he perceived to be over-exuberant celebrations in front of Benfica fans, somehow he's decided that sparks what we have to stress at this point, alleged racist abuse, because Prestiani, who's the Benfica player at the centre of all this, has actually said it's not racist, it's homophobic. It's not.
Whoa. What do you mean?
Yeah, but that's what he's come out and said. It's this allegation that actually I made a homophobic taunt rather than a racist taunt. I mean, that's interesting itself. But this is a whole mess.
I'm not racist. I'm homophobic.
Well, exactly. Justifying one with the other. But this game's a whole mess now. So Mourinho was sent off. He's banned from this game, obviously going back to his old team, Real Madrid. He's refusing to speak at the press conference. Prestiani's actually training at Real Madrid inside the stadium this afternoon, despite having a ban by UEFA for this game. So the guy who's allegedly abused Vinicius is banned, but yet still training at Vinicius' ground, Real Madrid. This all before the game's kicked off. And Courtois, who actually worked under Mourinho at Chelsea, who knows him well, has come out today and said, I'm disappointed in Mourinho. He shouldn't be coming out saying all sorts of stuff. So this is a complete mess, and this is before the ball's been kicked tomorrow night in the second leg of this Champions League game.
Yeah, I sort of suspect Jose Mourinho, he just loves all this stuff. He loves being at the centre.
Well, you know what? He loves being the centre of attention, but tomorrow night he's up in the stands because he's banned, so no one's going to be seeing him. He's refusing to talk, so no one's going to be listening to him, and his team's probably going to lose because they're 1-0 down from the home leg already.
Maybe you're right. This is one surface he would rather not.
I think this is a bridge too far for Jose, and it definitely rules out him going back to Real Madrid at any point, which about a week ago was a possibility, and it's definitely not anymore.
You can't beat Mourinho, can you? My God, Snoop Dogg is going to watch Swansea Preston tonight.
Well, we've got to talk about this because this is not this feels like fruit machine sports headlines. This, but he is there. There's video picture of him there this afternoon. So Snoop Dogg, of course, you know. You're obviously a big fan, Kevin. I know you obviously listen to it on the way into work.
Yeah, absolutely.
He is a part owner of Swansea, part of the American consortium. Obviously, I didn't
know that. I mean,
what a lot of these American businesmen do, they get a famous person to be the kind of front of it. So you see it a lot of these clubs do it. But fair play to him. He's just done 2 weeks at the Winter Olympics, being an official cheerleader for the US, watching curling and whatever else he was doing.
And he's going to come crashing down to earth by watching Swansea Preston.
If you thought it was cold over in Italy, wait till you're at the Swansea Stadium tonight. I mean, it's the big one against Preston North End in the Championship, but he is taking centre stage. And our man Justin Allen, who's been covering this at the game tonight, got a bit of info. So he's already wooed the players by singing "Drop It Like It's Hot," one of his favourite hits in the kit room. He's been doing loads of jokes on them, including lacing up some boots he tried to borrow. Bought a load of the tickets for the game and handing them out to locals.
Good for him.
And he's done a 75-minute set
Good for him.
This part as well. So fair play to him. He's got stuck in.
Yeah. And now he's got to watch Swansea against Preston. Now, my producer Ryan asked me to ask you about Watford Ipswich, but I said I wouldn't bother you with that because nobody could care less about that game. Who do you think might win that?
It's got to be Ipswich. I've never
Watford. He won't like that.
There's one thing we were talking about. So with Watford earlier, I'd completely forgotten that Javi Gracia, I think, been Watford manager twice. Ryan will correct me on that. Maybe it's been 7 times, but definitely twice. I'd completely forgotten he'd been the Leeds United manager for 12 games. And even when I then stared on the screen, I still had no recollection of this
whatsoever. He won't make 12 games for Watford because they only keep managers for 3 weeks at a time, don't they? So for Watford, it's not the quality of the managers that matter, it's the quantity. Listen, Mike, fantastic stuff. That's Mike Anstead, Sport Head of Content at The Sun. Let me just remind you of Chris Bryant talking in the House of Commons earlier about Prince Andrew.
Colleagues, many civil servants have told me their own stories of their interactions with Mr. Mountbatten Windsor, and they all betray the same pattern. A man on a constant self-aggrandising and self-enriching hustle. A rude, arrogant and entitled man who could not distinguish between the public interest, which he said he served, and his own private interest.
Yeah, as I said earlier, thanks very much, Chris. What about the way that the Labour government clearly turned a blind eye, turned its head while Andrew was our nefarious trade envoy back in the early noughties? Peter Mandelson, the Labour grandee, recommended that Prince Andrew became a trade envoy. So Labour up to there in this. Right, let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Jill in Cornwall, wants to talk about the burka. Hello, Jill. Where do you stand on the burka? Should we ban it?
Well, yes, I think we should, definitely. I must be honest, I was listening to that previous conversation and Peter Mandelson, the people that I would want to be looked into would be Tony Blair and Gordon Brown
and, of course, Keir Starmer. I think, Jill, what we're talking about is the Labour Party, for the best part of half a century, more than 4 decades, has sponsored and endorsed the Prince of Darkness, this loathsome man, Peter Mandelson, who has been allowed to run the show, call the shots of this country for 4 decades. And they've got questions to answer, haven't they?
Yes, of course. And the thing is, they're drawing attention to Andrew, and yes, he's got questions to answer, and yes, none of them are very nice people. But by drawing attention to Andrew, they are not highlighting the fact that Tony Blair and Gordon Brown and Alistair Campbell were all within the same bucket that Mandelson was in. At the time when all of this was going on, and not one of them has been mentioned in the digging around to see what's what.
I'll tell you what I don't like. You got Chris Bryan there on his high horse, as I say. Prince Andrew's got to be brought to book and everything. And Gordon Brown in particular, banging on about Epstein flights, the girls, victims that were flown in allegedly to see Prince Andrew and all that. Oh, yeah, let's investigate this. Also, Gordon, let's investigate you as to why you appointed Peter Mandelson to be business secretary, as to why you gave Peter Mandelson a peerage. Let's investigate Gordon Brown. What do you think about that, Jill?
Well, I think you're right. You're perfectly right. And Tony Blair needs to keep his head down.
He is keeping his head down.
Yeah, and Alistair Campbell, they need to keep out of the spotlight, because at the moment, everything is sliding around them, and we're concentrating on the fact that Andrew is the one we should be looking at.
Yeah, there's this kind of slight suspicion that the truth is being deflected from by focusing continually on Andrew. Thank you, Jill. Next up, it's Benedict Spence after the news. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Should we ban the burqa? Straight question. Reform UK say that if they become the government of this country, they will ban all face coverings, including the burqa. Security reasons, and also, I would suggest, It's all about the dignity of women. Is the burqa not a symbol of the subservience of women? A medieval throwback. 03444991000. A couple of messages, text messages, WhatsApp notes I've had. This is about the priest, Alberto, who has given up being a priest so he can go out with women and have sex. So Andy from Bridgend says, I'm a Catholic and don't agree with Alberto. He knew what he was going into before he became a priest. It's a difficult life to be celibate, and not everyone who is called can relate with this. I'm a divorced Catholic, and I can tell you after my experience of a dreadful marriage, I'm now celibate and I enjoy it. I know it's not for everyone, but that's my opinion. Great show. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, Andy. I'm not sure that it's a justification for requiring priests to be celibate, that they know what they're getting into. I think that maybe the Catholic Church should think about it. I think it's an antediluvian, old-fashioned, anachronistic rule that priests can't have sex, can't have relationships, can't get married, can't have children. It's not modern, I don't think, but it's up to them, I suppose. 03444991000. Martin says, I didn't realise Catholic priests still had to be celibate in this age. My God, move with the times. Yeah, that's sort of what I think, Martin. Hey, you know, hey, Vatican, the 21st century called, you know, they want you to have a look at the way people think today as opposed to 300 years ago. Does seem a bit old-fashioned, but, you know, maybe you agree with it. Let me know. 03444991000. Get on the phone if you believe we should ban the burqa, or if you believe that we shouldn't. 03444991000. Just got some breaking news. Going over to Benedict Spence in just a second. The breaking news is that Lord Mandelson was arrested and his passport was confiscated over very real fears, apparently, that he was about to flee the country, his lawyers have said. So they're revealing this, that the police decided that Lord Mandelson was a flight risk. So they took his passport because they feared he might flee the country. That's quite something, isn't it? 03444991000. Let's discuss some of the big stories of the day with political commentator Benedict Spence. Welcome, Benedict.
Hi, Kevin. How are you?
I'm okay. What about that breaking news? Interesting. This is apparently Mandelson's lawyers revealing this. He was, of course, arrested very publicly yesterday, around about 4:30 p.m. Spent, I think it was about 9 hours or so. He got out around about 1:30 a.m. So he spent a long time in Wandsworth Police Station, but his lawyers are revealing that the police confiscated his passport over their fears that he was about to flee the country. That could explain, I mean, this is pure speculation, of course, that could explain why the police, very unusually, went to his house at 4:30 yesterday. They always do these kind of arrests first thing in the morning, usually to make sure that people are in. The former Prince Andrew, for example, had just finished his breakfast at 8 a.m. when the cops came calling last Thursday on his 66th birthday. That might explain, because people say 4:30, I've never seen that before. Well, this seems to indicate they were fearing that Mandelson could do a runner.
Fearing that he could do a runner, presumably to somewhere that doesn't have an extradition treaty with any of the countries that might want to have a word with him. I mean, if this is true, then that's an extraordinary turn of events. I mean, I cannot imagine, as I say again, if this is true, what might have been going through Peter Mandelson's mind, because, frankly, there's nothing more damning, I think, actually, before you've been arrested, but you've been sort of accused of all sorts of things, if you suddenly decide you're going to make a break for it. I cannot imagine, therefore, what it must be that he would have been fearing, were this to be the case, might be about to come out. But, of course, this is part of the thing with the Epstein files, isn't it, is that for all right now, we're kind of sat here in shock at what is being revealed. There's still so much more to come out. There are multiple authorities across the world that are conducting inquiries and investigations into this. It's just the beginning. The slew of information, the slew of scandal. It's not even really hit the United States yet. It's embroiling us, but there's still plenty more to go.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? And in terms of Mandelson, I've been banging this drum all day. You know, people say Kemi Badenoch said that the arrest of Mandelson yesterday was the defining moment of Keir Starmer's premiership. I would agree with that. This is a man who, Prime Minister, who I think it was 167, 168 days ago, appointed this guy as our ambassador in Washington, and in September leant across the dispatch box in the House of Commons and announced to the world, to the country, to the MPs, that he had full confidence in Mandelson. So questions being asked about his dreadful judgment here. Also, if we're going to ask those questions, we've got to ask them of Tony Blair, who discovered this guy, you know, who turned him into a bigwig. He started as a lowly press officer for Neil Kinnock. Blair turned him into a superstar. Gordon Brown endorsed that, made him business secretary, made him a lord, and then, of course, Keir Starmer promoted him over to America to be our man in Washington. So all three of these Labour prime ministers, they've got to explain to us why it was that the Labour Party imposed the Prince of Darkness, a clear wrong-un, on this nation for more than 4 decades. It's serious, this, isn't it?
It is, and I think that's why you can see Gordon Brown doing everything that he can right now, I think, to put as much information into the public eye to suggest that he subsequently disliked and fell out with Peter Mandelson, and is trying to distance himself as much as he can from this decision. But ultimately, Gordon Brown is a former Prime Minister, Keir Starmer is the current Prime Minister, and it is his judgment which matters the most at the moment. And it's not good enough, I'm afraid, for the Prime Minister to just turn around and go, oh, he lied to me. Okay, well, you were appointing him ambassador to the United States. It's the most senior diplomatic role you can think of. He shouldn't have been taking it on his word. There almost certainly would have been security service information about this guy. And if there wasn't, there was also the stuff that was in the press. You know, it's not as if this was not being reported, his friendship with Peter Mandelson, with Jeffrey Epstein, rather, all the way back then. Personally, I think that this is the thing that has done for Keir Starmer. He is toast. It's not over yet because there's nobody to take over from him. You know, the rest of the party hasn't quite, pulled its trousers on, got ready. They haven't found alternative candidates. They're still sort of sounding people out. But functionally speaking, this is going to be the thing that defines it. The decision to make this man the ambassador, to hang on for as long as possible. He's now lost his chief of staff over it. Now this man has been arrested. And there's absolutely nothing that Keir Starmer really can do, I think, to turn the ship round. He just has to sit and wait until the rest of his party actually summons the courage to go, all right, that's it, you've had it.
And I think that may happen come the local elections in May. More meat on the bones of that extraordinary statement that Mandelson's passport was confiscated over fears he was about to flee the country. These are his lawyers. His lawyers have said that Peter Mandelson claims that the police had agreed to interview him next month on a voluntary basis, but arrested him suddenly on Monday following what they say is a baseless suggestion that Mandelson was planning to move abroad. So the lawyers, Mandelson's lawyers, sort of denying this suggestion, but clearly the police believed that Peter Mandelson was going to flee the country to escape all of these problems. That is extraordinary, isn't it?
Well, presumably we will see some evidence as to this coming out in the coming days or weeks, because actually until this announcement came out, I was under the impression actually that the police had done this so that everybody could see them taking a hard line and being very serious in broad daylight, so that all the world's press could see them. Given actually that, as we've discussed before, the police in this country have got all sorts of problems regarding allegations that they don't properly investigate certain crimes. They're policing of free speech over actual criminality. We've had the whole thing with the Maccabi for Tel Aviv fans in Birmingham, knife crime in London. There is a perception, I think, that the police in the UK are not very good at doing doing their jobs, and I think what they wanted to do was to be seen arresting this man so that absolutely nobody could accuse them of dragging their heels or any implication of a cover-up. That's what I assumed it was the case. If there is other information as to the contrary, and that actually he was going to flee the country, I mean, I'll say it again, if that was his plan, and we wait to see the evidence, but if that was his plan, that's a tremendously damning and frankly pretty stupid thing for him to have done.
Yeah, and his lawyers, I certainly would not impugn their integrity. But as for anything Lord Mandelson might say, I wouldn't believe it in a month of Sundays. You know, the guy's a proven liar. So his lawyers are certainly reflecting what he's telling them, but do we believe them? Or do we believe the police who felt that this guy was going to do a runner? That is extraordinary. This is the full statement from Mandelson's lawyers. Peter Mandelson was arrested yesterday, as in yesterday, despite an agreement with the police that he would attend an interview next month on a voluntary basis. The arrest was prompted by a baseless suggestion that he was planning to leave the country and take up permanent residence abroad. There is absolutely no truth whatsoever in any such suggestion. We have asked the MPs for evidence relied upon to justify the MPS, that is. We have asked the police for the evidence relied upon to justify the arrest. Peter Mandelson's overriding priority is to cooperate with the police investigation, as he has done throughout this process, and to clear his name. They can say what they like. Mandelson can say what they like, but you know, we should take this seriously. The police clearly believed that this guy was going to do a runner and was going to take up residence abroad. He was going to flee from the legal problems surrounding him right now, and that is quite a story to say the least. So they're denying it, his lawyers. He would no doubt deny it, but if he denied it to my face, I'm sure the same with you, Benedict. I would say, well, Peter, can I believe you? I doubt it. So I'm going with the police here. I think the police know what they're talking about. Well, we should listen to what the police thought. They thought that Peter Mandelson was not only going to flee the country, he was going to take up permanent residence abroad to avoid all of this. Extraordinary.
Absolutely. I mean, you're right. If you would sort of get an institution in this country you think I don't have an awful lot of faith in, it might be the police. But then if you go, and if you could find somebody that you have even less faith in, who you might be prepared to believe the police over, you think, oh, I don't know, maybe Peter Mandelson. And here we are in that exact situation. But, you know, again, I think if this is what's happened, one just sort of has to sit here and think, well, what on earth is it that's coming down the line? What is going to come out in the wash? Because it surely can't just be what's gone before the allegations, because, they're not great, but, they're not necessarily as catastrophic as they could be, given some of the things that people have been accused of as part of the Epstein files. So one then has to sort of wonder, and I think that I'll say this again, we haven't had the full weight of this scandal out yet. Wait for it to really catch up in the United States, because nobody's really been pursued in the US yet. No politicians, no major figures. There's so much more to come down the line. It's going to embroil every Western government, I suspect, and probably many others where there isn't a lot of journalistic integrity. You have to remember that.
It certainly explains. Everybody was mystified by the timing of his arrest yesterday. 4:30 on a Monday afternoon. Very unusual. The coppers always swoop early for obvious reasons. They want to catch people before they leave for the day, before they go to work or whatever. They always do that. And yet yesterday, 4:30, now we know why. The police clearly thought not only was Mandelson going to do a runner, flee from the country, they obviously thought he was going to do it soon. So, folks, let me know what you think about that. Peter Mandelson was allegedly plotting to leave the country, to run away, to avoid this case against him for alleged misconduct in a public office. What do you think about that? 0344 499 1000. Now, before you go, Benedict, I want to move on to another extremely important story, and it is important for me. It really is. I find this heartbreaking. I want to get your comments. Watch this. That is Punch the Monkey. with his only friend, an orangutan toy. This is a Japanese zoo where Punch, apparently it's not unknown for monkey mothers to abandon their children, and poor little Punch has been abandoned by his mother. None of the other animals apparently want to know him either, so the zookeepers kindly have given him this toy orangutan. That's his only friend in the world. It's heartbreaking, this. What do you think about the mother that abandoned Punch, Benedict? It's a deadbeat monkey mum, isn't it?
Absolutely. Is she on benefits? I'd like to know. Who's funding this mother? Is she still there? Does she get access to Punch? You know, where does she have any kind of responsibilities? I don't know what the Japanese welfare system is like, especially not for monkeys, but it is actually kind of heartbreaking.
It is. It really is. It really is.
Seen the footage of this poor baby monkey grabbing onto this stuffed toy and other monkeys bullying it.
Yeah.
And you kind of sat there thinking, well, why isn't anybody doing it? Why doing anything? Why aren't they intervening? But apparently they have to wait. They have to wait and see if maybe he will be accepted as he gets older. I think it's really mean, though, the way that it's just being broadcast for the world to see him being bullied like this.
Well, I just think that, so there's the rest of the family. I just think we should take a picture of the mother there, put her on the front page of all the newspapers tomorrow. Forget about Mandy and Andy. Let's get Punch's mum onto the front pages tomorrow under the headline, "Is this Japan's worst mother?" What do you think? What do you think?
I think it could be a winner. Could we not exchange Punch for Peter Mandelson? Look, if he's going to fly across the world, send him to a zoo in Japan and we'll take this monkey. Because this monkey is pure in spirit, the opposite of Peter Mandelson.
I just think we've got, if the mother won't take Punch back, we've got to get Punch a girlfriend, and of course the girl has to be called Judy. Benedict, really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for your time. Benedict Spence, their political commentator. Seriously, folks, that is an amazing story. The police thought that Peter Mandelson, Lord Mandelson, former business secretary, former ambassador to America, highest echelons of Westminster, big serious politician, architect of New Labour, they were convinced he was going to do a runner to escape this case against him. And that explains why they raided him at the extremely unconventional time yesterday of 4:30, his London home in Regent's Park. Was Peter Mandelson going to do a runner under the cloak of darkness? Unbelievable. The Prince of Darkness fleeing the country under the cloak of darkness. There you go. Extraordinary. 0344 499 1000. Talking about extraordinary. When we come back, we're going to talk about dragons. We're going to talk about a real-life dragon that used to rule the earth. This is a dragon, folks, and it really existed. You're going to love this story, because I do. That next. Stay tuned.
Breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Mr. Mandarin, how long do you think that you can stay on the island?
We're going to stay forever. Our rights have to be respected now. We're going to stay.
Do you expect Jeremy Clarkson to become a part of your new party?
I can tell you, if Jeremy Clarkson decided to darken my doorstep, I would be absolutely delighted.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Remember that film when dinosaurs ruled the earth? Well, never mind dinosaurs. It looks like dragons, or a dragon once ruled the earth. It's called a Spinosaurus, and evidence of it has just been discovered in the Sahara Desert, which way back when, 95 million years ago, if you're watching it, that's its head. That is the size of a human being. But look at it, look at it. Now, if you put flesh on the bones, it looks exactly like a dragon. So there's the size of it. It's a huge thing. 95 million years ago, Cretaceous period, when the Sahara Desert was a lush forested area. Spinosaurus mirabilis is also known as the hell heron. There it is. Look at that. Look at that if you're watching. Now, that is just a dragon. That's Game of Thrones stuff, isn't it? 40 foot long, weighed between 10,000 and 14,000 pounds, could stand in water up to 7 feet deep as it fished for food. Let's talk to our favourite historian, Ashley Hearn. Ashley, this is one of those stories where sort of mythology and reality, real history, seem to clash. This animal was a dragon. I mean, it didn't breathe fire, I'm assuming, but it didn't half look like a dragon.
Yeah, completely covered. Yes, here be dragons. The problem is, of course, it's about 95 million years ago that this creature existed. It's an impressive beast. This sort of animal, dinosaur, appeared in some of these Jurassic Park films. So it's something that people might have seen on a film. It has a sort of this really enormous snout and they think a fin on the back, a little big long tail. So it's really quite impressive.
And also, actually, this kind of strange bone that comes out of its head, which only adds to the dragon effect.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's made apparently the same sort of substance as makes our nails, apparently, which is quite interesting. Sort of keter. So it's remarkable. I mean, the trouble is, of course, there are no humans around 95 million years ago, so that's sort of the big problem. One of the theories of obviously dragons are fascinating creatures who have appeared in every single, almost all human cultures have a notion of a dragon or some sort of creature, and so one of the theories has been that various human societies have come across some of these bones in the past and then speculated about what they may be, and then from that sort of this is the idea that this notion of a dragon has developed. The trouble is, again, that's probably particularly common in China. Well, obviously the Chinese concept of the dragon is very important. There's quite a lot of bones, and one of the things about dragon bones were quite common in Chinese medicine. When they were dug up, they were used in Chinese people would use them, and obviously believing dragons had sort of quite magical powers associated with emperors and all sorts of things. I mean, it is quite impressive. Quite whether it's to do, and we can make all of our links with dragons with this, with dinosaurs is moot, though. It's debatable. Some people think that it's to do with serpents and snakes. The earliest form of dragons usually look like snakes. The image of the dragon that we have, this sort of large sort of fire-breathing creature which develops in the West, doesn't really develop until about 1,000, 1,500 years ago. The early Roman idea was very much of a snake, and then it had various elements added on to it.
So this was called, its nickname was Hell Heron. I like that. It was a carnivore? It was a predator? Would it have predated Tyrannosaurus Rex? Or
it's slightly predated. It's that same sort of Cretaceous period, that period where you get these massive animals. They're largely specialists. Evidence from the teeth suggests they eat fish. And some of the fish which have been excavated from these sites associated with Spinosaurus are sort of as many as 12 metres long, enormous thing.
And that head that we've been looking at, if any of you are watching on that, there it is. I mean, that is the size of a human being. That is a massive head with a huge jaw. I mean, the power of that jaw must have been phenomenal.
Well, this is one of the problems in the long term is these creatures in the Cretaceous period get so big because they become specialists. They tend to sort of be very good at doing one particular thing. Now, when you have this sort of environmental, the meteorite, whichever crashes into the Earth, the big event which leads to dinosaurs' extinction, these specialists ultimately suffer because of that. As soon as their food source disappears, they struggle then to be able to adapt to the sort of changing environment. But they're pretty impressive. One of the things that this debate has, this sort of the debate this ties into, is whether these things swam. So because
I just said that it is known to have waded in the water, but we're not sure.
Big argument. Was it a sort of most of the Spinosauruses were found near the coast, so there was some theory that these swam and basically sort of hunted almost like fish or dolphins. But this was found about sort of 500 miles from what known to be the sea level from the 95 million years ago. So it's found much further inland. So hence the scientists making this report have created this idea of this hell heron basically stalking around waterways in this heavily forested area looking for its prey and hunting it. Certainly if you came in touch with it. I think you know, if you meet the hell heron, I'd do a U-turn and do a runner. It looks like though we've done a lot of research here at Talk, and we found a comparison. We were thinking about Game of Thrones or something like that, but we found the hell heron version in Hollywood, and that is the dragon in Shrek. Now, if you have a look at this, I'm seeing a lot of flame at the moment. There he is. There he is. Yes. Now look at that. That looks like that is it. You see? It's a girl, apparently. I'm being told. Sorry if I misgendered the Shrek dragon. It's a girl, but it does look a little bit like. That's a donkey there, but it does look a little bit like the Spinosaurus, doesn't it? Yeah, it's that pointed sort of snout is very much about allowing you to go into the water. I mean, there's a big debate of whether it's sort of hid in the water and would jump out. It would sort of hunt by surprise. But of course, this dragon image that we have here, this only develops in the last 1,000 years or so.
My theory here, Ashley, was, and I know I'm wrong, but I was thinking, because what would be nice would just be to be able to say, you know, there was a time ancient man shared the earth with dinosaurs, and therefore their stories of dinosaurs got passed down the ages, hence the creation of mythical dragons. It's a lovely story. The trouble is mankind, or humans, were never around when dinosaurs were. We came millions of years later, didn't we?
We did, yes. I mean, unfortunately, no. I mean, again, unless you could argue that some of the sort of dinosaur bones were revealed and some sort of human group made this connection. I mean, but dragons are fascinating for lots of other reasons, even beyond the sort of the fire. I mean, in China, the dragons are associated with water rather than fire. Particularly about sort of between about 1250 and 1450, there's a period where they have quite a lot of climatic issues, and dragons appear in lots of contemporary texts. They're always being explained as a cause of problems. And one of the things that historians suggest is it's a large number of cyclones and typhoons. And as you'd imagine, you're in a boat, you get sucked up into a typhoon, and chances are you're not going to come down again. People believe that you get sort of seized by a dragon. So they believe you never see these things.
Why do you think? I mean, it's a very difficult question, but why is it that through the ages, you know, dragons, this creation, this mythological creation, has fascinated man? You know, I mean, right up to Game of Thrones and even Shrek. Yeah. What is it? How did it happen, do you think?
Well, I think part of it's probably to do with, as humans, one of the things that's remarkable about us is we need to believe in a controllable universe. We need to believe in a world where we can sort of have our lives snuffed out by some of storm or fire or anything like that, that this isn't random. This has been caused by a particular sort of creature interacting with us. And that sort of need to believe or to explain what's going on around us leads obviously to these stories. Now, you also got aspects of, perhaps going back to our early origins as hominids, of being afraid of snakes. Snakes obviously are a major sort of threat, given their sort of poison. You go to Australia, you're sort of very, very clear that snakes are not to be messed with. We've sort of lost that in Britain because we don't have the level of threat.
No.
So if you had that element of animals to be avoided and a desire to explain and understand these quite sort of dramatic fire or cyclones, typhoons, storms, and a belief that something must be causing this, and also this idea that we can somehow control it, this idea that if you sort of behave in a particular way or make some offering or ritual to the sort of dragon god or this sort of creature, then you'll be able to stop them sort of attacking you.
But what's fascinating is we've created, and the image of the dragon is similar around the world. We've created this image, and it turns out that that image is very similar to what real-life dinosaurs looked like, which, you know, is kind of freaky, really.
Yeah, but I mean, the dragons do appear in different forms. So, for example, in China, they're hybrid creatures. They're mixtures of sort of they can be turtle-like. They're mixtures of horses, cats. There's lots of different forms they do take. So it's often the differences are as striking as the similarities. But as you know, as being a journalist, it's such a fantastic story.
It is.
Story transferred to all these different human cultures, whether that be heroes fighting them, and then of course that getting transferred into Christianity with stories like George and the Dragon and all these sort of associations, the lantern worm, the sort of dragon of Wales. These dragons are such powerful sort of storytelling devices that they seem to be sort of reappear so often in human cultures is remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. And this real-life dragon, the hell heron, is something to behold. It's always fantastic to talk to you, Ashley. Thank you so much. Ashley Hearn, our resident, our favourite historian there. When we come back, we're going to find out what is in the pages of tomorrow's Sun newspaper with the night news editor, John Lucas. So that next. Stick around.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I've got John Lucas, night news editor of The Sun, in the studio. He's just pointed out a nuance. It's more than a nuance. It's a really central feature of this extraordinary story that's unfolding as we speak. It's just been revealed that police, the reason police suddenly raided Mandelson's home at the unusual time of 4:30 in the afternoon yesterday, his home in London in Regent's Park, was that they feared he was going to do a runner, that he was going to flee from the country and take up residence abroad to avoid the legal case against him. And John has just told me, I didn't realise this, that now while Andrew Mountbatten Windsor last week was just released on his own reconnaissance, you know, go home and we'll get back in touch with you, Peter Mandelson, in stark contrast, was bailed. So he was released on bail. So the police, John, seriously considering that this guy might have hopped on a plane and got the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, well, I mean, his lawyer says it's a baseless accusation, but that seems to be the thinking. As you say, you nailed it there. I mean, our story tomorrow, I can't go into all the details, but it's a lot of, it's going into Andrew's lifestyle while he's at this hold up in Wood Farm, what he is and isn't allowed to do. Yeah. But as you say, he was released under investigation having been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, and if you're released under investigation,
they don't consider you to be a flight risk. Yeah,
there's no restrictions they put on you if you're released on bail, like Peter Mandelson was. I mean,
and they've taken his passport. Don't forget.
Yeah, and they can come up with all sorts of conditions about what he isn't allowed to do. It does give the police a little bit of a headache because they have a charging deadline. So Mr. Mandelson, as he's also known, spent 9 hours in custody last night. Got home he was released about 1. Yeah, got home about 2 in the morning. He hasn't been seen to leave this £8 million apartment that he's got in Regent's Park today. So he's been holed up there, no comings and goings whatsoever. I assume he's probably been on the phone to lawyers and friends and associates and all the rest of it. Yeah, so the police will have the deadline 3 months, 6 months, then 9 months to keep extending the bail. Then they'll have to go to court. So it could be a very long wait for Peter Mandelson to find out if and when he gets charged.
So there you are, folks. You know, Mandelson's lawyers deny this, but there's no doubt whatsoever that the police feared that Mandelson was going to do a runner. That is just astonishing. Well, I think we covered the Royals. Let's talk about Russell Brand, John. In court today, of course, denying charges of two further sex attacks. He's accused of a series of rapes and sex attacks, but behaved rather strangely in court. We're not going to in any way talk about the offences against him, but his behaviour in court was a bit odd.
Yeah, well, this is a big trial that's scheduled for June this year. It's going to be, you know, if today is any sort of indication, it is potentially going to be a bit of a circus. So Russell Brand already had denied 2 counts of rape, count of indecent assault and 2 other sexual assaults. This is going back to 1999, and I think it covered 4 victims. He flew back from the US today to enter more not guilty pleas to other charges, but he rocks up. Russell Brand, he's in a gold and black tiger print shirt, he's got his big cross necklace, he's got a fedora, turned up in a black Mercedes with a big entourage, and he went into court clutching a Bible because, I don't know if you know,
he's found God, isn't he?
He says he's a born-again Christian. He's made a lot of he's got a YouTube channel, and he's made a lot of doing baptisms and things like that. And yeah, he sat in the dock with his Bible, and it had post-it notes in it, presumably at relevant period.
And they took it off him?
They took it off him.
So much for swearing on the
dock
Bible.
officer took it off him.
I bought my own.
Absolutely. And he said when he spoke to reporters very briefly outside, he said he felt blessed. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be... There are a lot of allegations and numerous different alleged victims. This is scheduled for June 3rd to kick off. And, you know, it is obviously going to be a bit of a circus.
Yeah, but I mean, that is a strange behaviour. But 50-year-old Brand denies 1 charge of rape alleged to have taken place between the 7th of February and the 1st of March 2009, and 1 count of sexual assault between the 31st of August and the 1st of December 2009. Both of those were allegedly in London. He denies those charges, but strange behaviour in court by Mr. Brand. Finally, thief's £2 million egg on face. Explain.
Yeah, so look, it's all crime and punishment today, but there's some good stories. I mean, this guy, he's a pickpocket operating in the West End, so he's in Soho, and he swipes from a pub a woman's handbag.
And she had a Fabergé egg in there?
Yep.
Who goes around with a Fabergé egg
Incredibly, she had a £2 million Fabergé egg in this handbag, which he knew nothing about.
She's having a drink in a West End pub with a tooth.
We think it's on...
It's what I love about The Sun.
It's on
stories like this, yeah.
Well, it's on Bateman Street in Soho, which I believe the only pub on that road that fits the bill was the Dog and Duck, which I imagine rhymes with what she thought immediately after this handbag disappeared.
Dog and Duck that, yeah.
Now, the mystery is this guy, he knew nothing about it. What he did was he used her credit card to go and buy some beer and cigarettes in the local shop. The egg has never been found. It's still missing. Police have no idea where it is. Did he even know what it was, potentially he's binned it. He's not a high level.
Well, so he's taking the bag, taking the credit cards.
He's binned the Fabergé egg potentially.
Oh my God, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, it's incredible. He pleaded guilty to theft. He's going to have another hearing about sentencing. But yeah, amazing.
And it says apparently it belongs to the Irish Craft Whiskey Company.
Yeah, so the poor lady victim in this
was looking after it.
She was the director of premium brands at the Craft Irish Whiskey Company, which owned the Fabergé egg. Don't know why it owned it, but it did, and she had it in a bag, and she was in the pub, and this guy swiped it, and he could have had the theft of the century if he knew what it was.
So I guess this is quite a serious story, but I guess the headline could be the yoke's on her, but not quite, because it's a little bit more. It's lost a £2 million Fabergé egg, but frankly, I feel very sorry for the lady. But folks, if you own a £2 million Fabergé egg, you know they literally are eggs crusted in diamonds and gold and God knows what. Don't go walking around central London with it in your handbag, and that goes for the guys as well as the girls. John, fantastic. Thank you so much, mate. John Lucas, Night News editor of The Sun, with a few fabulous stories and bringing us up to speed on Mandelson. Mandelson on bail because police feared that he might flee the country, arrested yesterday because they feared he was going to do a runner. His lawyers denying this, but the police clearly convinced that Lord Mandelson was planning to hop on a plane, get the hell out of this country, avoid the legal charges or the accusations against him, and take up residence in a foreign country. That is an incredible story. 0344499 1000. We'll take your calls next. Big thanks to John Lucas. Stick around, folks.
Breaking news in the last couple of moments. Extraordinary news. The police have arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. It's his 66th birthday today. What a birthday present that is.
Mr. Mandarin, how long do you think that you can stay on the island?
We're going to stay forever. Our rights have to be respected now. We're going to stay.
Do you expect Jeremy Clarkson to become a part of your new party?
I can tell you, if Jeremy Clarkson decided to darken my doorstep, I would be absolutely delighted.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Going to go to the phones in a little while. Peter Cardwell will be in after the 7 o'clock news to tell you what he's got lined up for your delectation from 7 p.m. until 10 p.m. But that development on Peter Mandelson, I think, is huge. I mean, it casts even more doubt on the character of this man, which is crap, by the way. He's a loathsome individual, and has been for more than 4 centuries. Only Tony Blair, Gordon Brown and Keir Starmer didn't seem to realise this. The police obviously think he's loathsome enough to do a runner, like a little coward, to run away from these legal charges, accusations against him. No charges yet, of course, but he is alleged to have misused, to have behaved badly in public office, to misconduct in a public office, possible life sentence. Maybe that's why he was thinking about running away. But people questions also, where's his partner, Ronaldo? Where's he? He's from Brazil. Has he gone back to Brazil? Is that what Mandelson was planning, to run away to Brazil? Well, we understand he's got a property. Unbelievable, isn't it? 03444991000. This is Paul in Belfast about Shamima Begum. We all know what happened. Begum will come across on a small boat, be housed in a 5-star hotel, will fall pregnant shortly afterwards, whereupon we will be putting her in a luxury house with her illegal migrant daddy. Then a book deal, TV interviews on Sky, BBC, and then ITV, and film deals. Well, she's already had a BBC podcast series, so I wouldn't be all that surprised if all of that happened. And Amanda in London says, Shamima Begum planning to return illegally by boat. What a complete and utter farce. This country really will be the laughing stock if I'm sure he was devastated at the reaction. I'm not sure what that means, but anyway, Amanda in London, good correspondent saying Shamima Begum, if she gets here illegally on a small boat, we will be a laughingstock, and she's absolutely right. Here's John from Long Lawford, nice sounding place, talking about Punch the Monkey. Punch will be just fine. There's actually even been footage shown of him recently cuddling and being groomed by other monkeys. Grooming is very essential to monkey dynamics in the social structure, so it's a happy ending. Well, it doesn't look like it at the moment. Poor little thing's going around with his toy orangutan. So, John, I like your optimism, but I want to see the footage. I'm heartbroken about Punch, and I'm not the only one. Let's go to the phones. Let's talk to Mark in Lincolnshire. The burka, Mark, should we ban it?
We should ban it, yes. We should probably ban the niqab as well.
Well, I mean all of that, yeah.
And halal and kosher and all of this stuff. Yeah, it's just, to be honest with you, Kev, it comes down to who you believe is going to do it, really, I think.
I think halal and kosher, it depends how you prepare the meat. If you are not stunning the animals first, as the Jewish and Islamic religions actually dictate, then I think we should ban those forms of...
Yeah, the thing is, because I've heard people talk about, which... I can't figure out the logic of this. Well, they're quite happy to ban halal, but they won't ban kosher because that's a Jewish thing. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. You're not discriminating against Muslims or Jewish people. What you're discriminating against is barbaric slaughter.
Yeah, it's the form of slaughter, because more and more, even those religions accept that stunning the animals first is the humane thing to do, but still many animals are not stunned first in the name of halal and kosher, and I think that's got to stop. But let's go back to the burqa. I think we need to ban it on 2 bases. One, I think it is a symbol, a medieval symbol of unjustified female subservience, and secondly, because of the security implications. You know, if you can't see people's face, you don't know who you're dealing with, do you?
100%, Kev. I think, the reasons you've outlined there, it's pretty much the reason anybody would want to be banning these things. It's why other countries do it. As I say, I think for me, it comes down to who you think will actually do it. You know, and I've got to be honest, one has to raise the glasses, you know, when you hear Yusuf saying, we're going to ban the burqa when, what was it, 7 months ago? He spat his dummy out, called it a stupid idea and quit the party within a few hours.
He said it wasn't party policy and that Sarah Paulson shouldn't have said it. He seems to have staged a Keir Starmer-style U-turn here, doesn't he?
Well, absolutely. But then again, Reform have been doing a lot of U-turns over the last, since the weekend. You know, where they're suddenly coming out with a much tougher stance on immigration and deportation and all this kind of stuff, and benefits for, immigrants that come here and they're not working and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like they'd ripped it straight out of the 100-page deportation policy of Restore Britain.
Yeah, that was interesting, the fact that Rupert Lowe, in an interview with me, as well as elsewhere, said, that they will bring about, if a Restore Britain government would instigate mass deportations, all of a sudden Reform UK seem to be saying the same thing.
Well, this is it. This is the problem. I think, I spoke with Peter about this as well. And I think for me, because I have become a member of Restore Britain now.
Have you? Oh, that's interesting. So you've given up UKIP, have you?
Yeah, UKIP have got... Well,
UKIP have gone very religious, haven't they? They're sort of become kind of evangelical. Have you noticed that?
Well, I've become... I am a practicing Christian, Kev.
But that's...
I think the problem that I was having with UKIP over the last few months, really, was that they've become very much about activism. They, like you say, it's obviously quite Christian-based. But they've become about activism more than anything else.
But it's a bit painful. I keep hearing them all saying, "Oh, peace be with you" and all that. No. If I want that claptrap, I'll go to church. I don't want it from a political party. I think that's nonsense. Listen, Mark, I've got to move on, but take your point about the burqa. I think we're on the same page. Good call. Thank you. Mark in Lincolnshire. Let's go to Roy in Hampshire. Hi, Roy.
Hello, Kev, mate. I think they should ban the burqa, but if they do, mate, don't you think it'll make it worse?
Well, it depends. What do you mean? How would it make it worse? In what way?
Because then you'll have thousands of Muslims walking in the streets of London and in Birmingham and places wearing it.
Well, no, if you ban it, they're not allowed to wear it. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but they do it for the hell of it, mate.
Well, they do anyway. They do anyway.
Yeah.
So they're legally allowed to. What is being proposed is they're not legally allowed to. It becomes unlawful to wear a burqa, like it is in Tunisia, like it is in Austria, like it is in France, like it is in about 25 countries around the world.
Yeah.
Can
I say something else, Kev?
Of course you can, Roy.
Can I talk about Chris Bryant?
Yeah, as long as... what is it you want to say?
Well, as I say, 2 or 3 years ago, when they kicked that Tory MP out of Parliament, that Patterson, Chris Bryant made a speech.
Oh, yeah.
On his second speech, sat behind him was Jess Phillips with a low-cut top on, and she was exposing herself.
Well, hang on a second. That sounds a bit unreasonable. I'm no fan of Jess Phillips, but I don't think she's that sort of person.
Yes, mate, you could for 25 minutes. Who has he had behind him just now when he made another speech?
No, was it her again, was it?
Poor lady.
Yeah. Jess Phillips is a poor lady.
No, the lady he sat behind him just now. That's a thalidomide lady.
Honestly, Roy, I don't really know what you're talking about, so I'm not that interested in the seating arrangement in the House of Commons. But thanks for a good call, as always. Should we quickly talk to Andrew in Halifax? Andrew, you say get rid of the burqa now, no excuse, it needs to go.
No, absolutely, Kevin. I mean, you and I are totally on the same page there. And I live in a part of the world where there tends to be concentrations of these things depending on which town you go to. For example, I've always noticed that in Blackburn and in Dewsbury, they're particularly prevalent. I don't know whether it's a more extreme interpretation.
Well, Whitechapel down here in London, Andrew, pretty prevalent as well.
It is. I mean, I remember a case about 12 years ago. It was a hot day. I was out in Bradford, and there was a guy walking with, and he had shorts on, sandals and T-shirt. And about 4 or 5 feet behind him, because believe it or not, even in Bradford to this day, it's still not uncommon to see wives walking behind their husbands like summer beating.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And she was dressed head to toe. And I looked at him and he looked at me, and he knew exactly what I was thinking. But of course,
I just don't like to see it, Andrew. I just don't think it's commensurate with 21st century Britain, or indeed any 21st century country. I think we've got to ban it. But listen, I've got to move on, but thank you for an excellent call. Andrew in Halifax. And Peter Carwell is in the studio.
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm all okay. Did you see this amazing story that the police, the reason we're thinking, why did they raid Peter Mandelson's house at 4:30 in the afternoon? They thought he was going to do a runner. People saying, where's his partner, Ronaldo? He's from Brazil. Is he in Brazil? Was Mandelson planning to fly out there and see him?
Well, the Virgin Islands were what he was allegedly going to, but his lawyer said this is nonsense.
Well, his lawyer's saying that, but the police clearly believe that maybe he was going to head out to Pedo Island. He loved it there, didn't he?
Well, maybe he got... it was interesting, actually. The police apparently got a tip-off from the Lord Speaker's office. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. And if he sues for wrongful arrest, which he could, in theory, do, because the idea was, apparently, that he was going to go to the police.
Not wrongful arrest. They can do that if they want.
Yeah, but if the basis of the arrest isn't correct, then they could sue for wrongful arrest because they'd already arranged.
Good luck with that.
They're already arranged.
The police will just say we have reason to believe you were a flight risk.
Yeah, but you've got to say what that.
No chance whatsoever.
You've got to say what that is.